I'm so ready for this, guys.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
thank you
so
guys
excited.
Same.
for joining. During our last session, we were right in the thick of it. We started off with Lorna Van Crowley joining the investigators. She had been sent by PICA. Essentially, PICA had gotten word that there was this mention of a potential zombie uprising going on in Harlem based off of a anonymous phone caller. So they had sent Lorna, who's got some religious background, to kind of look into it based off of her innate abilities.
Okay. Hell yeah. Fucking zombie uprising.
Monster
Yeah, dude.
Hunter.
Yeah, dude. Wow.
Cave in some skulls with some brass knuckles.
Maybe. Um, as she had met up with the party, the investigators had followed the gangsters who had kidnapped Leroy Turner and the trumpet that raised the dead to a warehouse or a garage.
Oh.
As they kind of scoped out the location, Lorna had been able to see into the back room a little bit through the blinds, seeing a handful of gangsters surrounding this poor black man tied up. Um, they had then kind of snuck into the garage, trying to overhear what was going on before they made any drastic moves. As they're listening to what's going on inside, they hear that Archie and Joey Larson were kind of discussing who Leroy was and what this trumpet could do. Uh, Essentially, Joey filled him in that he's watched this man play his trumpet and raise the dead twice at this point, and thinks that it could be used to their benefit. Essentially, he thinks it's some type of voodoo magic that they might be able to harness. Because Joey had fucked up at back in Small's Paradise, he was supposed to scare Pete Manesco. Instead, he had blown the dude's brains out, um, and which resulted in the closure of Small Paradise, at least temporarily. Archie wasn't exactly happy with him because he made money from Small's Paradise being open. Contemplating their options, Archie eventually tells Joey to shoot himself to prove that this trumpet works. The investigators kind of have a small discussion on whether or not they need to act, with the overriding consensus being that they also need to see if this actually works or not and let the gangsters sort it out. Uh, Ultimately, Joey chooses not to shoot himself, but he gets the impression that they're going to shoot him, so he draws his gun and ends up getting shot multiple times. Once he collapses to the floor, they prove that he's dead. Archie tells Leroy to start playing the trumpet. After a brief pause, Leroy begins playing as the recently deceased Joey Larson begins to rise. Before anybody can really do anything, the gangsters all start unloading their Tommy guns into this risen individual, and it breaks Leroy, watching that he has seen firsthand that he can bring back the dead with this trumpet. After the Tommy guns settle, the investigators can hear some glasses being clinked, some liquid being poured, as the gangsters kind of swear under their breath and kind of contemplate what they're doing next. Archie mentions he hasn't seen something this crazy since the incidents with Lucky Luciano, and which he felt bad about because he gave the man a sarcophagus. Carmilla, if you, since it's been a little bit, if you don't recall, Lucky Luciano is the mafia member that you work for.
Okay.
Um,
Damn, shit's gone down.
Following this, Archie makes a comment that they don't want any part of this and that they need to get rid of Leroy. Just drop him off, essentially. The investigators quickly get out of the garage to kind of stake out so they can tail the gangsters as they move Leroy. They follow the car. They eventually lose sight of it as they're kind of driving through the city, and they come up to. They finally catch back up, but the gangsters are kind of looking in the back because they can't find Leroy. And this is right after they passed the cemetery. Fearing the worst, They go over to the cemetery where they see the caretaker, who confirms that Leroy Turner has come into the cemetery, which is fairly common because his recently deceased girlfriend, Marnie, is buried in said cemetery. The investigators eventually catch up to Leroy, who's literally about to start playing his trumpet again in the cemetery, right over Marnie's grave. They make a couple of attempts to try and stop him before he starts playing, but he starts, and the whole cemetery starts to rise. At the moment, none of the risen are interested in the investigators to start going out of the cemetery towards whatever sort of vendetta they have. But the investigators realize that this isn't going to end until they get this trumpet away from Leroy. They make several different attempts to get it out of his hands and eventually realize that the zombies are turning on to them because they're trying to mess with the person that's brought them back. Not wanting to risk it, Archibald says we need to just get out of here. It's not worth the effort. And they're just about to leave the cemetery when they come to the conclusion that if they can't get the trumpet out of Leroy's hands, they'll have to end him to prevent this from getting any worse than it already is. Turning back, Archibald and Lorna open up with their pistols and crossbow, respectively. Lorna eventually ends up popping him in the jugular, causing him to start to bleed out, allowing them to incapacitate him and secure the trumpet. They do take him over to the nearby hospital where he is admitted for care, but they kind of leave it at that. They kind of give false names, not necessarily wanting to be associated. Whether or not Leroy would even remember who they are at this point in the mental state that he has kind of come to is to be seen. Following this, they go back to Violet's penthouse in the Ritz to kind of discuss what their options are and what they should do. One of the things they really want to come to terms with is Leroy had mentioned that this trumpet had come from Louis Armstrong himself, but they had remembered that Gillis, based off of the description of Louis Armstrong, had the inclination that this was not really Louis Armstrong, but someone pretending to be. They had tried to get a hold of Louis Armstrong and learned that he was playing at the Midnight Lounge, and they had made their way over to the Midnight Lounge to hopefully get a brief conversation with him to confirm whether or not he'd given this trumpet away. Archibald was even more enthused because his grandfather was a huge fan of Louis Armstrong. And they kind of watched the show, and when an opening finally kind of permitted itself, they'd gone up to the stage to talk with him briefly. Louis Armstrong is a very cordial individual and confirmed that he has never given anybody a trumpet. While he considers Leroy to be a great trumpeter, he's never met the man in person. Archibald, based off of his psychology role, was able to determine that this should be taken at face value, as there's no doubt that Louis Armstrong is telling the truth, which complicates things because Leroy also was 100% confident that he had met Louis Armstrong. So who did the investigators really meet? There's the possibility of a Djinn, especially since they know that Lucky Luciano opened and activated the sarcophagus he was given. At the end of the show, Archibald had made it up on stage to get his locket signed. So he now has a locket of his given to him from his grandfather that's signed by Louis Armstrong, kind of reinforcing that key connection in his backstory. Following this, we went into a little bit of a developmental phase. Archibald had done a therapy session with Gillis to kind of work on his sanity, since he's starting to get really low based off of all the things that had happened during this module. Lorna had gone to the library inside the church to kind of work on the Latin writing on the trumpet, but she wasn't able to associate anything down aside from that it's probably more of an occult offshoot of Latin. Violet managed to finish her second book, Paper Chase, which, based off of her role, was going to be very commercially successful, and it started on the next one called Dead Man Stomp. Lorna had worked on some proficiency with both her firearm, the crossbow, and with some medicine check stuff. Archibald had went and done some research on Lucky Luciano, kind of trying to clear up some stuff since Carmila wasn't available at the time. He had learned that Lucky Luciano is currently the leader of Queens. So New York at this point in time is broken into 5 boroughs, and there's a mafia or gang leader of each, with Archie, the boss Bonato, being over all of them and out of Manhattan. He had kind of learned that Lucky is working out of Queens. He grew up in the same gang as Archie, so whenever they kind of rose up to power and had their own gang and part of New York, they had formed an unspoken alliance. The big thing that he was able to pick up is not too long ago there was an incident that has been chalked up to infighting in the gang that caused a bunch of deaths, but based off of what Carmila had mentioned to Bentley, he knows that there's something that may or may not be a skin changer involved. And based off of what you guys have overheard with Archie the Boss Monato, it could be that the skin changer is actually a Djinn. Following this, he'd done a little bit of work with his track ability, and it's more or less where we'd ended the session. So where we're going to pick up at this point is you guys will still be in this developmental phase. So if you're not, since it's been a little bit since we've done one, you guys have an opportunity to kind of, any boxes that you have check marks next to, you can do a skill improvement. So to do these, you roll your D100. If you roll higher than your current score, you get to roll a D10 and add that value to it. So if you have a 50 in track and you roll an 85, you get to add a D10 to it. Does that make sense? And it's only whatever ones you've checked.
I think so, yeah.
Once you've done that, remove the check mark, and then as we keep playing throughout tonight, you'll add check marks again as you make successful throws.
So after the development period, whether or not we upgrade the skill, we all uncheck it?
Yeah, so you'll uncheck.
Okay.
Basically, when you go to do it, uncheck it, do the roll, add whatever. While we're in the developmental phase, you can start checking again once you've done this.
Okay.
Because essentially we're rolling into the next module.
Gotcha.
The other things is if you need to heal any sort of sanity, you'll be able to have an opportunity to do that. There's 2 flavors of that. One where you work with a connection in your backstory, so you can work with your key connection or any other connection. So it'd be like, Gilus, you've done the photography thing to kind of like get in tune with nature, or writing letters to your white buffalo. Those things can help build sanity. If you fail the roll, you could potentially have me tweak things in that backstory, where we'll just go into the sanatorium and discuss briefly. You could also meet with a psychiatrist who will do a psychoanalysis with you. That one, you go roll against their psychoanalysis score. If you fail on that one, you just can't use that person for your next psychoanalysis roll. You do lose sanity on either of those if you fail, but that's the only stipulation there. You guys can also train skills, so it takes about 4 months to get a D10 improvement in a skill, but based off of how you roll after you describe what you're doing with that skill, you could potentially shorten that time period. What I'm tracking is Carmila. I can't remember exactly what type of fighting it was. For whatever reason, I'm thinking it's a sword or something of that nature. It might have been like saber or something like that.
I'm not certain. I know that I had like brass knuckles and a shotgun.
Yeah, I know you trained with something swordplay, but I can't remember what it was. It's a longer ago video, but you would still need 3 months of training to improve in that category. Gillis, I'm tracking that you need 2 more months in photography to be able to improve that skill.
Nice.
And then Lorna, 3 months for either firearm or medicine. As of right now, this developmental phase has been roughly 2 months based off of how much Archibald, Violet, and Lorna kind of discussed they were doing. We can make it longer or shorter depending on how long you guys are wanting to do certain things. Um, the other things that are kind of still up in the air, uh, we haven't discussed what you guys are doing with the trumpets. It's in your possession, but just in your possession in New York, so it's not necessarily protected. Um, and then where you guys are going next, so there's an opportunity to research the Djinn. There's still 5 Djinn that you have not gotten any details on. And then anything following up on the information you've gotten with Archie or Lucky Luciano. Before we start going kind of through what everybody's doing, Carmila and Gilus, because you guys have secured the trumpet, each of you can add 1 sanity point back.
Okay, I'm actually at my max.
If you're at your max, as long as it's not 99, you increase your max.
Nice.
Oh, it's an increase? Sweet.
Yeah, so if you got points that go above your max, it increases your max.
Glorious.
Yeah, so... Lorna, you should have already gotten that one, but if you had some points that you didn't allocate last session.
I counted them in my current, I just didn't update the max is all.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Carmel.
I will say I just don't have access to my character sheet today.
Okay. I don't know if I have your most current version of the character sheet.
It's whatever I last played, I think. But
Right. I have whatever copy you gave me, but that might have been your first session.
Oh, okay. Right now we're getting the house ready for carpet cleaning, so my computer is off the carpet, not done at all. So I didn't want to mess another game.
Gotcha. No, that's all good. Yeah, so I don't have all of your stuff, so any increases you had, or really, it works in your benefit of any hit point damage or sanity damage you took. I don't have that, but you're just currently at what your max is, which, to be fair for Carmilla, because she's a gang member, isn't great. Because she's only at a 25 at the moment.
That's fair.
Following the events over the next couple weeks, the incident in the cemetery you'll see in the papers is kind of just chalked up to some of basically like a gas link, so everybody hallucinated that the Risen had kind of come up in the cemetery. So it's basically chalked up to, unless someone was a first eyewitness, they don't believe it actually happened. And the folks that did see it firsthand are called crazy and basically said that they were hallucinating. So no one believes that anything rose in the cemetery. Small's Paradise is opened after 10 days. Basically, after everything kind of settled down with the police and whatnot, they're allowed to reopen. You do get word that Leroy Turner is eventually taken to a sanatorium, and he silently plays an imaginary trumpet constantly in his bed, kind of laughing as he's doing so. Basically driven insane from what happened. Based off your guys' interaction with Charlie Johnson, who's the leader of the Paradise Orchestra, you eventually get sent a record from their latest album. What you guys notice, and a little bit unsettling, is there's a solo by Leroy Turner on the back called Dead Man Stomp.
Oh dear.
And I will kind of leave the floor to you guys. So really where we're at is the trumpet is still kind of up in the air on what you guys want to do with it, but we'll kind of just go around the table on what you guys are wanting to do during this time period.
Sorry, my dogs were just freaking out. Oh gosh. Do you want the floor, Julia?
I was gonna leave it up to you guys if you had things you wanted to do to start off with,
Okay.
but I'm also happy to start if that'll help get things rolling.
Sure, why not?
I think Lorna's the next thing on her agenda was to dig in more into the different Djinn and kind of try and figure out what this next one might be, or the one everyone's talking about might be. So wherever everybody's been researching, she would head there. I think
You're
you
muted.
muted.
You're muted.
Oh. Don?
We can't hear you. No.
Oh, I probably muted.
Yes.
That's probably why.
Yes.
Okay. How we usually do this is I'll ask for a library use roll. On a success, you get 1 Djinn that's not already accounted for. Hard success 2, extreme success 3, and on the off chance you roll a crit, you'll get 4.
Ooh. All right. We have a 40 as the regular, so here's to
Regular
hoping.
success. Okay, so do you want Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday?
We got a 60.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said you had a 40 and that was a success.
Oh no, I'm sorry. 60.
I
was reading off my sheet, my B.
Oh, no, you're good. You kind of get the information from Gillis and Archibald on where they've researched, and you have the unfortunate experience of finding the same exact damn book that they've already found twice, which covers the details of the Red King of Tuesday, which has been dropped in the chat, and I'll add it into the world information of the ones that you have.
Sweet, thank you. Sorry for the confusion.
Oh, no, you're good. And it's one of those, it'll just take a little bit more time. Since the Djinn are sort of mythology and associated with Arabic mythology, they're not as common for people to kind of look into in general. So,
Especially in the 1920s.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
How much time are we spending in this development phase? Like, how much time
It
do
is
I have
up to
do
you
stuff?
guys. Currently, we have committed to 2 months based off of the amount of training people have chosen to do.
Okay. When you commit to training a skill, how much time would that
It's
allocate?
basically over a month period. If you're committing a month to work on that skill, and you need at least 4 to increase it unless you roll well at the end of describing what you're doing. Because essentially, like, if you're like, I want to work on photography, you'll describe what you're doing, and then I'll have you roll photography, and based off of your roll determines whether or not you reduce that time period.
Okay. Well, for the first month, then I would like, despite my creative pursuits with my book that I'm trying to write, I'm kind of have this writer's block. Never been much of a writer, so I will pivot to photography, and I want to, like, over the course of like a couple of weeks or so, go to a graveyard here in New York. Potentially not the same one.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just, because I don't want to. But I want to sort of like Gillis not being there for it, only had to hear like the aftertellings, and it's just he sympathizes with Leroy's loss of his love. Hold on, sorry.
Ruh-roh.
Sorry, Artemis was heading to bed.
Oh, no worries. But Gillis sympathizes with Leroy's loss of the love of his life, and though Gillis was not necessarily in the same exact position, he knows what it feels to at least lose something, and that. So to like honor that and whatnot, I will go on a spree of taking melodramatic photos of a cemetery.
Okay. Perfect. Go ahead and give me that photography roll.
All right, everybody, here we go.
You got this.
It's already looking good. So what's a 100 and what's a not a 100.
If you roll all 3 zeros, that's a 100.
Well, I just rolled a freaking 1, dude.
Oh, nice. So that is
Oh,
a
boy.
critical success.
This is my first one, everybody.
Oh my god.
Huzzah!
So
Wow,
So essentially
what
what
are
this
the
did
odds?
a success would have reduced it by 1 month, a hard would have reduced it by 2, an extreme would have reduced it by
shit.
3, a crit would reduce it by 4. So go ahead and roll me a d10 to add to your photography skill.
Wow. Oh,
Essentially,
boy, here we go.
Gillis kind of connecting with Leroy on an emotional level gets him into the right sort of mindset to find his inner art, allowing him, because he's basically had the technique the entire time. He just hasn't had like the correct positioning and like finding
Lighting
the
wasn't
right
or
thing.
something.
And he kind of keys in on that during this spree. And we'll say this is like a dusk sort of thing. So it's like you kind of hit the light right where, well, it looks like, you know, a graveyard at night. It shows that there's light on the horizon sort of thing.
Right, and the shadows are just long and whatnot. Oh, I love it. Okay, cool. I rolled a 6. So that's nice.
Yeah, so you get to add 6 to that. Nice. And you also get to check that as a success for the following developmental phase, which means you have a potential to hit that one again in the future.
Well, it is now a 31.
Ooh, nice. Carmel, right before you go, I do want to mention specifically for you, Gillis, because I know that you haven't done your job in a little bit. You also should probably do employment during this one so that you don't hit a financial burden. Essentially, the way we have it is you will kind of describe what you're doing for your job. I'll ask you to roll a skill associated with that, which will allow you to roll a 1d10 if you get a success, 1d10 plus 1 on a hard, and kind of escalating up from there. If you don't work during a developmental phase, you could potentially lose a 1d10 in your credit rating because you're basically running on fumes as far as funding goes. So, but what do you got for us, Carmilla? What do you want to do during this time period?
And we're at the graveyard, right?
This is after all of that. So you guys have already met up, kind of discussed what you're doing moving forward, and then kind of taking a break before you hit into the weeds of whatever you're doing next.
Yeah, we basically have downtime.
Where are we at? What city are we in again?
You guys are in New York currently.
She's gonna go have a night of some poker with some of the pals, some of the guys,
Okay.
some of the salamis.
Is there something specific you're trying to achieve from this, or is it more of a flavor?
It's more of a flavor moment, more of just to break some, to let some steam out.
Okay. Yeah, I would say obviously you're familiar with the area because you work with Lucky up in Queens area primarily, and I would say because Tucker's not here, I'm going to make the executive decision that Bentley goes with you.
Sure.
And he kind of gets to meet some of the fellows that you spend time with and kind of play a few hands of cards. If you're wanting to kind of talk through what's happening during the game, go ahead and feel free. I would say it's over in Queens. I don't have a specific geographic spot in Queens, but you can kind of flavor text it from there.
Carmila's just gonna kind of head to the door, do the right type of knocking, as she kind of lights a cigarette.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was letting you run with it.
Oh, so I thought we were okay. I'm sorry. As she's knocks on the door and she gets let in. And she sits down with maybe I don't know. I think 6 or 5 guys with a wooden table with some barrels flipped on the side to sit on.
There should be a guy who has an eye patch.
Oh, absolutely. We call him Patchy McGee.
ChatGPT.
He hates that name, but he can't say shit because he's a low-ranking family member, and everyone rubs that shit in his face who can. Specifically Carmel. She's gonna kind of sit on the table and get her cards. Everything's dealt out. As everyone's looking at their cards, she's gonna look over to Patch McGee and go, you have a very obvious tell. It's the patch. And then she just elbows the guy next to her and starts laughing.
Go ahead and give me a sleight of hand roll to see how well this evening goes for you as far as the game.
Someone roll that for me.
Oh, you don't have dice either?
I'm not in a place for it. Yeah, not right now.
I gotcha. That's oh boy, 83.
It's not your best nights. Some of the players at the table that aren't very good, obviously you're able to kind of get them out of the table. But once it gets down to 2 or 3 of you, you're not hitting the cards you need, and eventually it ends up you kind of end up having to bow out.
Yeah, everybody's just top decking every fucking card they need.
She's like dragging cigarettes throughout the whole thing. Like the more she was losing, the more she was smoking.
Oh man. Okay. All right, that brings us back around to you, Lorna.
Right.
Right. Gonna take another whack at the Djinn library. Well, I guess we're gonna transition into the second month of this, and that will be the first thing she does.
Okay, yeah.
At least for her.
I would say, I guess I should break this up. So the things
would that not have?
The things that you can only do once per month is train, a skill, and job roles. So those are the only ones that you can do once a month.
Oh,
I would say,
okay.
As far as research, you could probably get 2 of those per month, and then I guess the other one you can only do once a month is the sanity regain. You can only do one of those each month. But if you're doing any flavor-based things or any research type stuff, we'll kind of play it by ear on each of those. So like, if you're trying to set up a meeting with Lucky or Archie, depending on how that conversation goes, that could be a little bit faster or a little bit slower depending on how that goes. But as far as research, I say you could get another one in the first month if you were wanting to go that route.
Yes, please, if I can.
Yeah. Go ahead and give me that library use roll.
89.
Dude, you
Brutal.
Rolls, man.
Lorna does not have it.
This would work really well in D&D, but not in this.
And unfortunately, it's not that you find the same fucking book, but you find the same book that Violet found. You rehash the same information Violet found, which for you is new information. Like, they've discussed a little bit briefly on this Djinn, but this is the Djinn that they've already banished and was associated with whirlwinds and that type of stuff. They've encountered it in a dream state again, but never in person again. So there seems to be tethered as far as on like an ethereal sort of manner, but not necessarily able to do anything to them physically.
Yeah. Lorna definitely gets a little spooked at the concept of something creeping up on her dreams, though, and has to go sit in prayer in her room for a little bit afterwards.
Yeah, dude, just ask Archibald. Was he the one?
No, all of you. That was the paper chase.
It was all of us, right?
Yes. You had the dream sequence where, like, the nephew turned into a werewolf and was chasing you through the tunnels.
That's right. Yes,
and Archibald watched a demonic ritual happen, and the Djinn formed as his grandfather and was talking to him, and Carmila was surrounded by fucking ghouls and ended up in a sanatorium. Like,
yes, I remember.
Fun times.
Fun time.
All right.
You screamed, they screamed, the walls looked at me screamingly.
All right, what do you got,
So
Gillis?
for me, I do have a couple small things I want to do, but I want to knock out the money problem first.
Okay.
So I'll after taking almost 2 months off of my practice, I
Wow.
I kind of just
That's a crazy thing.
realize I kind of get that sort of cash money coming in, so I'll just take a couple. I'll see a handful of patients. I like to think that one of them is like an old married couple, where it's like the husband doesn't talk and the wife talks too much, and it's like having to sort of go through that. Maybe a handful of tweens that are experiencing certain sort of child traumatic situations, whatever. I don't know.
Oh yeah, and it's one of those like you don't normally take on couples therapy, but like this old couple wouldn't take the answer no, so you end up just doing it anyways.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me a psychology roll.
Okay. This is my bread and butter.
Is it?
Yeah.
It actually is. He's got like an 80 in it.
Yeah, I know.
So it's a regular success with a 64.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and give me a D10 to add to your credit rating. And it's one of those, despite being a little rusty because you took a couple months off, so you hadn't seen these regulars, based off of having to get a little bit more emotionally connected with the group of investigators and kind of trying to see from Leroy's parts, you're able to kind of find the right empathy level to do well. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a 7.
Perfect. Go ahead and add that to your credit rating. Make sure you check box your psychology for that success there.
Gotcha.
All right, Carmilla. What else are you wanting to do during this developmental phase?
Is it for like a whole month?
At the moment, you guys have committed to doing 2 months. You guys can take this as long as you want. So I'm kind of giving you an opportunity to work through what you want to do, how much research you want to do before you're... Ultimately, I would say the next kind of driving point...
We're taking 2 months, and...
yeah, at least 2 months. You guys can take more. The big thing is determining how much like research and improvement you're going to do before you kind of move on. So you know that 7 sarcophagus were containing Djinn exist. You have taken care of one. You have a lead on a second, you think, with Lucky Luciano. And from your understanding, Archie the boss knows information on all 6 of the ones that you haven't seen in person. So potentially Lucky or Archie would be your next kind of lead to get into the next module when you're ready.
I guess what Carmila's gonna do is she's really gonna, especially after having that psych ward trip, she's a little in her own head. I think she's gonna just really focus on getting her motorcycle that she was building going, and her boxing.
Oh, sweet.
Okay.
Yeah, her motorcycle and her boxing are the 2 things she's gonna work on big time.
Okay. Maybe it was boxing was the fighting. So we'll say
boxing.
It was that one. And you'll need 3 more months of that, unless your rolls well. So go ahead and give me a fighting boxing roll, which
You should probably already.
you haven't committed to that one yet, so it's going to be defaulted to
I believe that's your subconscious trying to make you
25.
What?
Gilles, did you want to roll for again since it's not me rolling for?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Here we go. I'm gonna blow on it.
Oh,
Oh?
3?
What do I have to beat?
25.
So I just rolled a 2, so I have like a good chance that this will succeed.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh! I rolled a 26.
Sad spaghetti nose.
And it's not that you don't necessarily make progress. It's just you're not making progress maybe as fast as you want. Kind
Yeah,
of depending
fair.
on how fast Carmila is kind of wanting to go on this. I would say it's one of those you're going about it kind of with like word of mouth on how to improve in boxing. So like you've got the bag in your garage there next to the motorcycle, and you're kind of
Yeah.
working it, but you're not necessarily you don't have an instructor kind of like helping you with technique or anything like that. So like you're getting a little bit better, but you probably could use the help of an instructor or something like that to kind of really boost it. At the moment, it's going to take you about
That's
2 more
fair.
months of training.
When her boxing bag has a zipper on the side of it for whenever she's got to rough someone up for the mafia. They put them in the boxing bag that hangs there.
Oh, nice. Oh man, we had to make it dark.
Yes, I
We'll get
did.
there.
Did we expect anything less? No, but we love it.
Okay. What do you got for us, Lorna? I would say we've fully kind of tapped the first month unless you're kind of going with sanity improvement or working on your profession. Or I guess you've done one profession. So if
I
you
was
did
gonna say
another,
she did for that month, but she
um,
didn't do the psych stuff.
and you don't necessarily
I
have to.
think-
I don't know what your sanity score is currently, so it might be fairly healthy. It's more if you feel like you want to or not.
She's at a lovely 77 right now,
which is
so
pretty
I'm
solid.
not as worried. So I think she's gonna jump into the second month,
Okay.
going right back into it with the crossbow. She is determined to get better,
Perfect.
as
Nice.
the graveyard is in her mind as she goes
Oh,
out to the archery range,
dude.
seeing
be
all the
honest,
zombies come up.
You and Archibald both were missing all over that damn place.
Yes, it was so bad.
Well, I don't think either of them had put much points in there, so you're operating off a 25% chance, and it's like,
Right. That's rough.
I gave Lorna some crossbow points for sure, but I underestimated how hard it is to roll
Yeah.
super low
Right.
on a D100. I was using 5e math, and that doesn't work here.
Right.
Not quite,
Okay,
no.
we're working on it. But she's gonna go out to the range graveyard in her mind. As she sees the field of corpses and is like, all right, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this right the next time it happens, and takes aim and goes at it with the crossbow.
Perfect.
Cool.
Go ahead and give me that firearm
God.
roll.
That's an 88. We're
Sister!
still going.
Hey, and it's one of those.
You need more Jesus.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more Jesus. Maybe finding your
Maybe that's what we'll do next.
inner Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah, like that Helsing sort of thing going on here.
And in one of those things, I would say probably one of the ways that could help, and this is meta-wise how you guys could get bonus die, is if you get like an instructor and you kind of talk through, hey, I've got an instructor working with me. I would say it's one of those Lorna, based off of her personality, is wanting to kind of just do it herself, and is kind of now kind of hit a roadblock as far as technique goes with the crossbow, and that's kind of where the hurdle she's needing to get over right now.
Struggling to ask for help.
Oh shit, man. And you grew up this way? I'm just kidding.
That's the best part.
Oh, have you seen her picture? I think it's in the chat.
Yes.
I briefly saw it a little bit in the YouTube video.
I will repost it. Hold on.
It reminds me of a female version of the
Oh, I see it.
Hugh Jackman Van Helsing.
Yeah, dude,
Specifically,
that's really
Kate
cool.
Beckinsale in that film.
Yes,
Kate
exactly.
Beckinsale, is that the Underworld?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking? Yeah, dude. Yeah, man.
Yeah, she's
Oh,
hot.
dude, are you like Kate? Oh, dude, that's cool, man. I like it.
I picked this character very carefully.
Wow. Yeah, look at that.
All right.
Okay,
Gilus.
so for me, I want to follow up on the glassmith that I
Okay.
had
Yeah.
found. I have a specific idea of what I want to procure, and after now that I've sort of gotten back to the New York grind. I feel more comfortable going out buying stuff. And so what I want to commission is maybe like I want it to be sort of like an oval piece that would go in like the top of a door frame, and we're talking maybe like a foot long, maybe.
You talking like a
oval
little like
shape.
hand, like a little face mirror size?
Well, no, I'm talking like from top to bottom, it would probably be about 11 inches, and it's about 4 or 5 inches wide. And it's like a, and anyways, in that sort of shape, the half, because it's supposed to like be in a door or like be installed, you know, to be like a little tiny window or something.
Oh,
Anyways.
you're talking like the church, like crystalline stained glass sort of.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. And so my goal is what I want it to look like. On a meta level, I can't remember, was the color of the carnelian specific, or was it just that it was the flower?
Carnation, I think the carnation
sorry,
was
yeah.
white.
Was it? Because I thought it was pink, but I wasn't sure.
There's a song about a pink carnation from like the 50s.
Interesting.
That's.
I
But
wonder if that's
yeah,
where
it looks like they're pink. I might have just thought it was white. So
Okay,
we'll, unless Archibald retcons this later, we'll say that he gave you a pink carnation.
Okay, so on the same, the neutral space in the background that won't be having any color will be kind of like a foggy white or grayish color, and in the center, with like a chunky stem going all the way to the top. At the top of the like rounded shape will be like a carnelian that's stylized for stained glass. Obviously, it's not going to be. And then halfway or 3/4 or so down the stem will be a chain that's wrapped around, and a pocket watch will hang on the lower half of the
nice.
piece, sort of creating a balance of flower on top, pocket watch on bottom. And yeah, so that's kind of my my idea here.
Yeah, and kind of falling on is this is the glass worker. I am forgetting the name of it right now that we established out of the phone
Yeah,
book.
I know there was a name of the shop or something, or the vendor. I can't remember.
Timothy's, I think Glass was what it was called. It is a little shop out of Chinatown.
Yeah, the Chinatown is what I remember.
Yeah, well, because you live in Chinatown at the moment.
Oh, so yeah, my bad. Yeah, sorry.
There, you're good. And he's able to do this commission because he takes custom orders like this all the time. I would say this type of intricacy is going to take him probably 2 to 4 months, just because it is very detailed, several different colors in the glass.
Right.
But I would say it should be ready by the end of this developmental phase.
By the end of the development phase?
Your minimum of 2 months. I feel like you guys are probably going to want a little bit more.
A little bit more time.
Yeah. So.
What time of year are we at?
It's like end of summer into the fall time frame, so it's starting to get a little chilly.
So, it coincidentally, the project would sort of the piece would be more or less done in the holiday season.
Yeah, I would say it's probably closing in on like Halloween timeframe. I would say it's probably like mid to late September at this point, based off of your travel from.
But you were saying it would take like 2 or 3 months.
Oh,
right?
yeah. By the time this is done, because it would take a couple months. So yeah, it'd probably be right around Thanksgiving timeframe, getting into December for the piece to be done.
Perfect. Cool. It's going to be a Christmas present now. So yeah, that's just fine, and I will without like breaking my bank, I'll leave like a generous tip that is appropriate for the service.
What is your credit rating boosted up to now?
It's a 32.
Okay, yeah. So you're on the upper end of like middle class at this point. So you're like closing in on that
I'm not
threshold.
as high as Violet.
Oh no, Violet's in like the fucking 60s.
Yeah.
Violet has money.
She's effectively a millionaire in the 1920s. So
somehow Violet is like a rich author. Like, how often does that happen?
Not super, but she's like the Stephen King of the 1920s.
Right. Yeah.
Everybody knows her name.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Carmela, what do you got?
Carmilla's gonna, her morning starts off with her paying one of her guys for her monthly whiskey cargo.
Right.
That she gets put in her put into her garage. She pays him a little more of a higher amount this time, just because he's been doing a good job. And she's gonna work on her bike.
Okay. Yeah. Is there any sort of improvement things aside from the fighting that you're looking at? Is there any research or anything like that you're wanting to do? Not saying that flavor isn't appreciated. It's more, I just want to make sure you're getting the opportunities to get any sort of like improvements in sanity or finances or any of that type of stuff while you have the opportunity, because it doesn't come up super often in the campaign.
That's true. I guess she'll see if there's any work for her. There's some.
Yeah, I mean, you're in town now, so like, there's always jobs with Lucky. So
yeah, she'll go to Lucky then.
Yeah, and I mean, he kind of mentioned before you come back into town what the state of stuff was. So, Carmilla, what type of work you looking for? We got some, bodyguard type stuff. Just, standing there looking tough. We got some, we always got stuff to bring in from the docks. I want you to kind of ease your way back in after the stuff with the church whenever you feel ready.
She kind of rolls her eyes on that. She just takes a drag from her cigarette. I'm fine, man. Lucky, which one's paying more?
Well, you're on payroll, Carmilla. They pay the same.
She just kind of looks at him. Her eyes look to the side. She's like, "Fucking institution." Shit. Which one needs more people right now? Which one's lacking?
There's always a couple knuckleheads in any crew. I think the boys down at the docks are probably the ones that more likely to make a misstep. There's a lot more going on.
It.
Okay. So you can meet little Timmy down there. He's usually pretty competent. It's the other boys I'm worried about. They've been, a little louder than they need to be. Not necessarily keeping an eye out for whenever the other people are kind of coming through. It's nothing crazy, it's some shipments of some hooch coming in. This is that good shit, the scotch from over in Ireland making its way downtown, so.
Perfect. That'll work out for me then.
Yeah, and as you get over to the docks, more or less what he says, what I'm kind of envisioning is that scene in Batman Begins, where like Carmila and Falcone and them are smuggling the fucking dolls and shit, and there's a couple jokers that are fucking around joking because they don't think anything could happen, and Carmilla's easily kind of trying to get them in line. Go ahead and give me a sleight of hand roll, Gilus, if you'll do the honors of roll it.
Sure.
She needs
Definitely not me.
a 10.
Oh no, it's already bad.
Okay.
Easy one.
And there's no negative to failing these.
I know, but it's not a success.
And what this
Still
means,
gotta have
Carmilla,
emotions.
is you don't get an increase in your credit rating, but you don't take a hit either because you're actively working.
So you just maintain the status quo.
Basically, you get these guys to kind of get a little bit more serious, but it's not like this deal was like super lucrative or anything like that. It was the normal shipment, like the weekly shipment that always comes in. So
Yeah, it's like the work order, but it's just change out a light bulb. You know.
yeah.
That's fair. Or like an IT person that gets flown halfway around the world because someone said, "No, we did turn it on," but then when you get there, you find out it wasn't turned on the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Lorna, what else you got for us? I think you're up to the second month based off of what we've done. There's still some opportunity for research and your job during the second month, but I think we've touched on training.
Yeah, unless I can do more medicine. That was the other thing I would do second, but we can jump into doing more research on the Djinn.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
Can you like retry a skill if you already failed?
You can just in another month. So if we decide to go 3 months, she can make another skill roll. And you only get one skill per month. So unfortunately, you can't do a medicine now. You kind of have to pick and choose one per month.
Oh, because you did the thingy.
Yeah, the crossbow. And that one's a meta me. That's a table rule because they don't have any sort of skill improvements in the game normally. So.
Oh, I see.
Well, it is appreciated.
Okay, go ahead and give me that library roll on researching these Djinn.
Okay, here we go. That's a 25. There we go.
Perfect. What is that? Is
You
that
got one.
Is that
hard
regular,
success?
hard?
That's just regular for
Okay,
her.
perfect.
Okay.
Okay, for
Sorry.
real this time, do you want Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday?
Let's do Sunday.
Interesting. I love that you picked that. Holy
Exactly.
shit. Your character, dude. I love
Sunday.
it already.
Yeah. Is the Gold King of Sunday. This is all Madhahalba. He is associated with the sun. According to tradition, the Djinn king possesses secrets of the occult and knowledge of the transmutation of gold, and is also associated with silk brocade. He is depicted with a flaming golden
he's the
halo
bougie genie.
around his head and what looks like a golden cloud or wool around his neck and shoulders, and is richly dressed in what looks like a silk shirt and silk pants.
Nice.
Wow.
Can I get that in the chat?
Yeah,
So
I,
is that
I'm copying and pasting
Mahab?
Al
Mahab?
Madhahab, or however it's actually pronounced in Arabic.
Dude, my American show's so hard when I try to pronounce like Arabic name. Dude, for real.
It shows a lot of times anytime I'm trying to pronounce anything in any other foreign country, unless it's like Europe and it's like.
Dude, honestly,
English
I have
countries.
I have a fighting chance with Japanese, like how to say certain things.
Oh yeah, because anime.
Because of anime, but like outside of that, dude, yeah. I at least say I don't say Italian instead of like Italian.
Italian.
You know what I mean? Italian.
Me
Get outta
gusta
here.
hamburguesas con queso.
Oh
Exactly. Sorry. Please take it back from me. I don't need this speech anymore.
Yeah, so Lorna, you're able to track that down. As far as descriptions go, this sounds like one that no one has brought up. Definitely doesn't really get the vibe that you're feeling for the one from Lucky Luciano, but it's another one on the list that you kind of have accounted for. So
She celebrates that she found a new book this time.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say this, the third of tips.
Praise the Lord, I got a new one, guys. Holding the book up in the library as she's being shushed by everybody else.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and none of the other investigators are there, so none of these other Catholics know what the fuck's going on.
It's like a scene in a movie. I can just picture that, dude. And everyone just like looks over at you and like with their brows furrowing.
Shh.
Exactly.
Okay, Gillis, what do you got for us?
Okay. Just a couple things, really. I do want, because I sort of had this sort of photography breakthrough, like going into the second month after sort of developing and having like being able to sort of, I don't necessarily throw any of them away, but I'll sort of like take the cream of the crop and sort of put it in sort of a like artistic sort of collage, I suppose, you know.
Yeah.
And because of like this breakthrough, and like I feel like I've really like connected with something in this last series of photo shoots. It's kind of, I feel like, given me the courage to get over the wall that is currently blocking my ability to write. So I do want to spend especially with hearing of Violet's book, how she just barely finished one and she's already starting on her next one. It just sort of like inspires me, and also like in a way, I don't know, like in a strange competitive way, feels like he is slacking. So like he gets to work, and I want to maybe write a couple of chapters, maybe 2 or 3.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay. Would you like to take this as a skill improvement? If you'd like to increase library use or your language, specifically whatever language you're writing the book in, I would assume English. You could do that. If you'd prefer it to just be flavor, we could go that route as well.
I was initially going to just have it be like a flavor thing that I'm doing in the background, but I guess if I can take advantage of it to try to make it a skill I could increase, that's fine, because I have good library use, but it could be better.
Okay. Yeah. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead and give me that library use roll then.
Ooh, already good. I needed to roll 51 or lower, and I rolled a 3, 6. That's a 36. That's a regular success.
Yeah, so you're able to kind of hit the ground running with this, and whether it's because you've already had the conversation with Violet, or it's just you got the inspiration of like the competitive thing pushing you, you're able to really get into it. So it's only gonna take you about 2 more months of working with library use, at least at the moment, to gain an increase in there.
Oh my goodness, dude! Like as I'm sort of like closing in on this, like, all right, time to like stop writing and maybe spend some time away from the desk to sort of refill the well. I realized that I could make this line up and have these both be beautiful Christmas gifts. And Gilus gets extremely excited because Gilus is very much a jolly old St. Nicholas, if you know what I'm saying.
Perfect. Okay, Carmila.
Carmila, I was thinking maybe one of these days Carmila's walking on the streets of New York, eating a hot dog. But as she's walking, she kind of bumps into someone, and her hot dog kind of goes like down their shirt with all the sauces and relishes and everything.
Oh shit!
And she's gonna look. Yeah, and she's gonna look up and go, "Gilus, can you watch where you're fucking walking?"
Oh my God, Mel! I have a client in 15 minutes. I pull my freaking little hanky out of my little whatchamacallit, my pocket protector little thing, and I just like start cleaning up all this relish. Did you do that on purpose?
She's looking at you and she goes, "Doc, I don't think a handkerchief is gonna fix all that relish titty you got going on in there." No. I was walking a hot dog and your nerdy little ass bumped into me.
Ugh. I'm sorry, I must have not seen you. I've been extremely busy. This old couple, they just won't stop. I just don't even know.
She puts her arm around Gilus as she like walks, and she's kind of pulling him as they're talking. And she's like, "Yeah, tell me about this old couple."
You see Gillis pull out his pocket watch and sort of looks at the time. I have about 20 minutes or so I suppose I could take lunch with you, as he sort of grins nervously.
Yeah, lunch. Yeah.
He, he'll go find a hot dog cart. That's what he was going for in the first place. You know,
That's what she was taking you anyway.
Oh, perfect. And then while I'm there, grab some napkins if they have any, and just kind of like, clean up myself while I eat what I'm wearing currently.
As we order our hot dog, she kind of looks at you, looks at the trail going down your shirt that's soaked from the inside out, and she goes, extra relish with that, and cola. What do you want, Doc?
Just a plain hot dog, please. Nothing on it. Just the hot dog and bun.
Are you a fucking American or what?
I beg your pardon? Yes. In fact, I am a respected colleague amongst my folk. What is this all about? Are you just trying to bully me, or are we trying to have a little lunch?
I mean, I'm having a lunch, but I'm trying to find out if you're a fucking commie eating a plain hot dog, or if you're an American and gonna put some fucking relish on your chest.
I pay the guy, because we're having this conversation right in front of him, And I'm like, walk back with the hot dog. I'm like, okay, all right. Let's just go sit on the stairs right over there, because I imagine my office has maybe a big old wide stone staircase or whatever with 5 or 6 steps or something,
She's gonna, as we sit down and we're kind of setting up our food, she pours a little flask from her jacket into your cup and then to her cup.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it because my lunch breaks only last so long. But seriously, I need this. This old couple, let me tell you. So the husband has this problem that the wife won't just stop doing things because he doesn't want her to do the certain things that she's doing, but the wife feels like she has to because the husband isn't able to communicate with her the fact that he doesn't like that. Oh my god, and we've been at this for months, and we've made minimal progress. I'm about to maybe shoo them off to another colleague of mine, so yes, please, thank you for the drink, and I'll sort of clean you.
She clings, as she's listening to him, her eyes are slowly widening to see what she got herself into, as she just pours more whiskey into the cup before taking a long sip, just listening to him.
Anyways, I'll take a nice healthy bite of my plain hot dog. Have you met the new girl yet? I haven't really spoken with her, but she seems able.
Oh. No, I haven't had the time, to be honest. I've been working. And then...
And I just slip down and take another dejected bite of my hot dog.
She pours a little more in your cup. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, real good stuff there. She takes a big sip of hers. I'm real close on getting the motorcycle starting, which is nice. Spark plugs coming in. So
definitely seems dangerous. I much prefer my Model T, but that sounds lovely, Carmila.
Yeah. She just kind of looks at you up and down. Yeah, it does. It does sound lovely. But she kind of takes a bite of her just covered hot dog.
He'll just sort of cringe, just subtly. It's not very, he's trying to keep it under wraps. And then, Carmela, it was nice speaking to you. By the way, this whole Djinn thing, potentially dealing with a shapeshifter just makes me wonder, why did the Djinn, if it was, choose to manipulate people? And he was an up-and-coming artist. He seemed to be popular amongst his community, especially with his local ones.
It's kind of fancy looking, but it's
you know, I just
like the one where they call it the eighth fold.
I've just been wondering, like, why Leroy? Why Leroy? And I just don't think it matters that it was specifically Leroy, which makes me worried because this Djinn could just be acting wildly at its own whim, and it may be harder to track down something that can disguise itself and targets people that are amongst the average.
You know, Doc, all of this magic shit is kind of a little, I don't know, left field for me. But I'll be honest with you, the one thing I've learned so far about these fucking creatures, these monsters, is they just take a few more bullets than a normal person does.
I shake my head in disbelief, but I don't say anything. Not
You know,
that
whoever he picks,
true.
you know, put a bullet in that one, and then we put a bullet in it, and that usually solves it pretty easy.
I'll sort of take my last bite as I sort of stand up and sort of like brush myself off to get a piece of relish that was caught in my belt.
It was a great experience because I love.
Just look down at
I just love
Carmela as I stand
that
up.
fun
Well,
like
Carmela,
like it talks
that's
about
why I feel safe
talks about
having
potatoes,
you part of the team, because you bring the fight.
to
But
make potatoes.
don't
And then
let
there's
that
really
courageousness be something that blinds you to something that
it's like
is otherwise
from like one
deadly.
of the building to the other. It's like
And
kind
I'll
of
just give you a little smile and
It's
sort
like
of curl the mustache that I have that goes down into my goatee.
But
Oh wait, no, I committed to a mustache. That's right. I just had
Yeah,
a
you got the
mustache now.
mustache wax.
Yeah. I'll just like curl it a little
free potatoes on
and
it.
give you I present you with a firm,
They're
cordial handshake.
Mom, Dad.
She shakes your hand, but she turns it from a formal to more of a factory worker type of handshake, and she shakes her hand very tightly. I goes, "You too, Doc. You too."
Oh, I don't squeeze tightly at all, and so like you overpower me right out of the gate, and I just kind of go.
She watches you go up and into your office, and she's kind of staring. She goes, "Call me bastard's crazy. Hope he has fun explaining the relish snail trail down her shirt." And she just kind of walks off.
And it was like crazy. Like,
Okay.
I'm
Potatoes. Thank you for taking advantage of that, Carmilla. I forgot to mention, if you guys did want to have RP between each other during this time period, feel free to do that as we're going. Carmilla, there's a lot of background noise off of yours.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Is there anything else that you guys want to do during this developmental period? We've kind of allocated 2 months. If you guys are wanting a little bit more, feel free to. We've got plenty of time. Otherwise, I'll kind of be a little bit more. Here's the things that are left unattended.
Okay, so I, being so, even before Lorna joined the group, like committing time to the book and this blacksmith and stuff is something that Gilus is quite interested in the short term. So being able to like get back to the grind, he was glad to do that because it supported that, but all the while realized weeks had gone by before. I mean, I'm sure Gilus and Lorna have seen each other in passing, but there hasn't been any sort of formal introduction. So maybe sometime, are we going into 3 months, or are we still in the 2-month spectrum?
It's kind of your guys' call. Lorna is kind of hitting the point where she'd be going into the 3rd month. I think you and Carmilla have time if you want in the 1st or 2nd month, but if you're ready to move into that sort of block, we can go there.
Just asking for continuity reasons.
I'd be down to go into a 3rd month if everybody else has stuff they want to fill it with. I definitely do.
To be honest, I would say Gillis, unless you were super busy and put it off, you could have had this conversation with her within the first month or first week of having met her.
Well, what I was kind of going for was like maybe like 6 or 8 weeks, depending on how far we're going into it, is when I'd finally like realize like, oh, I need to make the time to say hi and like maybe go on some sort of like brunch coffee sort of thing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Sure.
I guess I would also invite Carmela if she would like to come. Let's say it's going to be like.
Do you want to use that coffee restaurant that you guys hit during? It's probably about 2 sessions ago, where you had like brunch, where they had like the French style espresso type stuff with the croissants and like other baked goods and.
Yeah, for sure.
Carmela will join. She'll be like, when you ask, she'll like be hesitant. She's like, he cracks me up, and then she agrees.
Awesome. So yeah, what was the name of that place?
I don't remember if I named it or not, but essentially it's like a mom and pop restaurant where like it's some French immigrants that have come over. But it's just a little like bakery coffee place. It's got like a French press, so you could get like espresso or a cappuccino or any of that type of stuff, which I think are actually more Italian drinks, but we're gonna roll with it.
Hey,
No complaints from Lorna.
Carmela will just add a flask to like coffee. Just like, why is it gonna be so fucking fancy? It's a cup of fucking coffee, and she just stirs it.
Carmela, you've got to learn that this is the stuff, and you shouldn't play it off so quickly. In fact, and I'll order it's like I imagine it's like a lemon croissant type thing, but there's some sort of like, not necessarily pudding, but like what is it? Like a custardy.
Yeah, like a lemon custard in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'll just get like whatever like drip coffee they have going on.
Yeah, are you going with like a black? Ordering it a black and then you're adding the sugar yourself, sort of thing?
Yeah.
Lorna would get herself a very cute little like macchiato mix in a little teacup and kind of sip on it quietly. She's feeling a little awkward as she doesn't have her crossbow with her, feeling it was probably not polite to take it out in public. She's been told that ladies don't carry crossbows in public, apparently.
Right.
And yeah, she's happy to be there, very smiley, but not saying much, just because she's still a little bit unfamiliar with everybody.
Cool.
I guess Carmila not really
as she holds her cup up.
Noticing the new chick as she's ordering her coffee. I just want a cup of coffee. What? A drip, a French press. I don't fucking. And she just looks over to Gillis and goes, "What the fuck should I order here?"
I will like it's like expressing the shame on my face that like Carmela should be but isn't, is being like projected from me towards the guy taking our order. I'm like, just give her what I have. Just like sheepishly smile.
Yeah, what the fuck that is. And then she's gonna like lean, and as she leans to light her cigarette, her magnum can be shown underneath her vest in the holster. As she lights a cigarette and lets out a puff, and she looks at the new girl. She's like, "Why you look so fucking nervous?"
Okay. And I grab Carmela by the arm, and like, I don't know how big this place is, but like, can there be some tables outside potentially?
Yeah, it's done in the European style where like if the weather's nice, they kind of like open up the front and then they set tables out onto like the sidewalk. So currently it's early fall, so like it's not too bad. It's kind of like a little chilly, but it's like 65,
We
like
have
sweater
hot
weather.
drinks. Yeah, we have hot drinks. We're good. And most importantly, not inside.
Why are we going outside? Is she like getting up, kind of complaining? Why the fuck we going outside? We had a table.
Because
Alright,
the
fine.
beautiful fall weather, Carmela, and because, and we just go outside.
Lorna kind of looks back as watching them leave and is like, "Oh, I better go. My friends are going, huh?" And she picks up and looks back quickly. "Thank you for the coffee," and hurries after.
She's gonna sit down and open her flask and pour a little more than normal size amount as she kind of stirs it. And she starts taking like not really sips, more like she's almost chugging it. Almost.
Oh my god, you are a freaking demon, dude. I will notice your sort of aggressiveness towards your drink, and I'll just like, just sort of take like a nice sip of my drink. So, Lorna, we haven't necessarily gotten the chance to, fully introduce ourselves, so I thought this would be the perfect place. I love this coffee and this croissant. I'll take like too big of a bite of it, and like part of like the custard will get like in my mustache, and I won't notice it until like at least 2 or 3 beats later in the conversation.
She just looks at you with like kind of like wide eyes, and then looks at the new girl and goes, "Not all of us are fucking like this one, all right?"
What?
Lorna.
Do I have something? Oh dear. And I like grab my napkin and sort of like clean up my stash.
Lorna just kind of giggles over her little cup of coffee and sets it down to not spill anything. No, it's really okay. Yeah, honestly I've been a bit busy myself. And she holds out her hand to Gillis. Lorna Van Crowley. It's lovely to meet you, sir.
Of course. And I shake her hand in respect. The name is Gilus Hornbyll. It's a pleasure. And this is my associate, Carmela.
She will then hold her hand out to Carmela as well.
Carmela
Smile on her
doesn't.
face.
She doesn't shake your hand at first. She kind of just like has her hand on her cigarette. She's smoking it, and she kind of looks you up and down before she looks at Gillis with like some raised brows. Before she kind of grabs your hand, but she's a lot softer with you than she was with Gillis. And she goes, "Carmilla, you can call me Carm though."
Lovely to meet you, Carm. But yes.
Takes a sip.
She winks at Gillis.
Yes, I after the experience with Archibald and Violet, I felt I had to set to work immediately. Plus, I needed to spend some time with the clergy regardless. So I apologize for not introducing myself sooner.
And that was actually going to be one of my first questions. I did notice that necklace as I point to the cross the gold cross or whatever that you have around your neck. Are you a sister of of God or something?
You a Catholic?
Yes, actually, a member of the Catholic Church. Just a clergy member. I have spent most of my time traveling with my family, attending to their business. Since they immigrated from Italy.
You from
That's
Italy?
really all I know.
Interesting.
You from Italy?
Well, wasn't born there. My parents were from there. They came here before they had me, in hopes of escaping some of the troubles they faced. Unfortunately, those troubles followed.
You'll see Gillis kind of raise an eyebrow. And how is your relationship with your parents now?
Oh, wonderful. I write to them at least weekly.
Oh, fantastic. Where do they live?
Still in the New Jersey area, not far from the hometown that they had settled in. Not gonna lie, I haven't written that part yet. Bear with me.
Hey, this is the best part. You get to come up with it right now.
Half tempted to Google a New Jersey map. God damn it. But they still live out there. I don't get to see them much since I've taken my work this direction and came this way for PICA, but I don't mind it much. We traveled a lot, so the distance is relative.
Do you live here in New York as well?
Sort of. I've lived out of the PICA facility since I joined them and have been working for them, so I've gone where they need me.
I see. I see. Interesting. Well, I myself am a psychologist. I haven't given a description, but basically, Gilus is a little bit on the taller side, like closer to 6 foot. You know, he's a little skinnier, not like super skinny, but like definitely not the muscle of the group for a reason. Um, he's like 55, but he's like completely grayed out, and currently has like a mustache that sort of has a curl and a half or so on either side. My hair is about like short to medium length, and very much like a Sigmund Freud look. If you are familiar, I can try and post another picture of it in the chat. But yeah, and you know, I have been known from time to time to sort of help the others that struggle with the mind when we encounter things that are a little abnormal.
Ah, good to know who the mentalist of the group is. Then I myself am doing well enough for myself. I've had a lot of experience, if you will, with some of the horrors, so to speak, traveling with my parents. But good to know. I appreciate the assistance.
Out of curiosity, DM, with her general demeanor, like I don't know how to like necessarily like. It's almost like an insight check, but can I kind of get a tell on like? Gillis up at this point is surprised that she has experience already with like
Yeah.
creatures.
Go ahead and give me a psychology roll, which I know you're
Okay.
going to love because you already have a high score in it.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering because like her demeanor doesn't seem I guess with someone. Ooh, that's a 00 and a 3.
What is that? Is that an extreme success?
I think it might be.
Let me check my thingy. Psychology. Yes. Wow.
Gillis, you would get the impression that, like, one, as she's mentioning this, she's obviously telling the truth, which is probably the first sort of bit. So, like, as she's talking about it, her demeanor doesn't match the story she's telling, but you also get the vibe that she's telling the truth. But as
I didn't doubt the
validity of it.
The validity of it. It just like, you know.
As she had mentioned working out in the PICA facility, you quickly realized that she's been doing this longer than anybody else in the investigator group. So
Gotcha.
she's probably seen significantly more than you guys.
Interesting. I'll just kind of raise a brow as I kind of realize that we may have have a boon here with someone who like maybe has a little bit more experience than us who are literally, you know, following the seat of our pants, essentially. Well, Lorna, I haven't seen in person your expertise with the crossbow, but I have heard that it is quite effective, so it's nice to have a long-range component because of Carmila here. She's the bruiser, and I'll sort of like gesture over to her.
Mara looks at you and looks at her and goes, "He's right, but also," she kind of like lifts up her vest. "Long range is handled, so you use a crossbow, huh?"
Oh yes, it's. Oh, I like the versatility that comes with it, as well as it being viewed as a bit vintage in some of the places that I go. And she kind of grins at herself and does a little happy dance as she thinks about her crossbow.
She takes a drag of her cigarette before she kind of smiles. Why don't you have it with you now?"
Oh, Mother always said it was rude to take it to public spaces when you weren't actively hunting something.
I kind of I agree, as I sort of point at my finger and take another sip of my coffee.
She kind of leans back. She kind of leans back and aims her thumb behind her where her car is. What was a good muscle car back then? Or were there muscle cars? Or what kind of
No, we're talking Model Ts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She has her motorcycle there that's that's kind of in its test run. And she's like, oh, there's my shotgun. I keep that close. Fuck what everybody else fucking thinks. You never know. They have a night out with mom and pop. Some motherfucking gangster comes out of nowhere and just pops you. Then you're done.
I suppose that's fair. To each their own.
I like this chick. She takes a puff of her cigarette and puts more whiskey in her. It's no longer coffee at this point. She's just, the coffee mug is empty. It's just now being whiskey being poured into it.
Indubitably. I would have to agree. Lorna, you are a welcomed member now into the party, and I'm glad that maybe we will have someone who's a little bit more what would you say, competent with all this occult shenanigans. I know Violet is acute in this area, but more the merrier.
I would definitely agree. Speaking of which, I could use some help in the library. I have yet to find the Djinn that everybody is mentioning, or at least the one that is described the way that we have heard with the mishaps that have been going on. I certainly would like some company in the library if either of you has the time.
Gilus will sigh, not dejectedly, but he's attempted this I think 2, maybe 3 times already, and it has failed every single time. So sure, I will go with you, but I'm starting to wonder if maybe this library doesn't have all the books on the Djinns.
Carmila kind of stands up as she's getting ready to go. I have to hop off here in a second.
Okay.
As she goes, if you ever want some time around the books and if you need anything, and she kind of hands you a small card, you just call me.
Thank you very much. And she takes the card and tucks it away in one of the pockets of her large brown leather duster.
While taking a drag from her cigarette, she kind of eyes you up and down. No problem. And then she just kind of walks off.
I feel like she was looking at me. Is that a good assumption? She kind of looks at Gillis, completely clueless.
I've always kind of got the rough side of Carmila, so I'm quite surprised that she seems to like you, which I think is a good thing. Maybe it's not. I don't know. It's hard to tell with this woman.
She has a lot of guns. Yeah. I suppose we'll see. If she shoots me, then we know for sure.
Yes, well, I also like the idea that when you start the motorcycle, it does not sound good. It's very clunk, 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 you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a test run.
It's like that fucking truck that the smokestack is intentionally spewing as much as possible.
Right. Yeah, so I suppose I'll take a whack at helping with some research on these Djinns and trying to find one that sort of maybe is known for being a trickster or something, or something that would be relatable to a shapeshifter.
Okay.
In requisitioning help as well, could we also, on the way there, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off,
you're
but
good.
I also wanted to add, could we also go seek out, I know, wasn't there another gentleman, I don't remember if he was located here, and maybe you told me this before, but there was a librarian guy that traveled with us.
He didn't travel with you guys,
okay,
but he's only
I
about
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, so you're referring to Reginald Billinghurst.
Oh, Reginald? Yeah,
I was
yeah.
gonna say if we could pick him up on the way, that'd be cool. But if we can't, that's totally fine. I will hush.
You wouldn't be able to pick him up on the way, but he is out of Arkham, Massachusetts, the PICA site, which is only about a day's travel for you guys. So as you guys are doing these things, you would have the opportunity to go back to PICA if you so chose, which would give you it would give you a little bit better options as far as research. I would say if you did research there, you could get a bonus die. That also might give you an opportunity to handle this trumpet so that you don't necessarily have to worry about it yourselves.
Yeah, we haven't gotten around talking about that, but that was like my plan. Like, fucking just give it to PICA, let them deal with it.
So yeah, if you guys want to go that avenue, we could say you take a day trip with the trumpets, and whoever else wants to go back to PICA for a day or so, to meet with Reginald to kind of get some insights from him if you want. Do some research in the more occult-aligned library there. And also to kind of like give them this occult artifact so that you don't have to worry about protecting it since they already do that type of thing.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Yes, Lorna, in fact, I own a Model T, so we will be able to get there in a jiffy.
Her eyes widen. You have a car? Oh my gosh, let's go!
Yeah, so we'll just plan a trip to PICA and do some research in the library and deal with the trumpet. We should probably deal with that first.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, as you guys kind of get there, there's no issue with kind of making your way to Massachusetts. They're pretty close there, and once you get in, it doesn't take you long to kind of like meet with Reginald. Lorna, since you haven't interacted with him yet per se in the campaign, Reginald looks like Indiana Jones as a professor, so like the opening sequences of Indiana Jones where he's got like the pleated sort of thing. As far as personality wise, if you've watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, he's a lot like Giles, where he's a very book smart on the occult, but not necessarily the type of person that you would actually send into the field to handle it, sort of thing.
He's
Sweet.
He's the Wade to Tim Possible, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it. She would approach him.
My dear fellows, what brings you back to PICA? It looks like things have gone well if you've returned.
Well, first of all, do we have a case for this trumpet, or are we just like carrying this thing around?
Unless you guys decided to purchase a case, Leroy did not have a case at the time of you acquiring said trumpet, because you basically beat the shit out of him and stole it from him.
I'm gonna say Lorna tucked it in her duster pocket. Like she has this really just big pocket spot, and she reaches down, has to kind of bend over to get it all the way, and pulls it out. Take a look at this. You're the bookworm, yes?
We got it off a gentleman named Leroy Turner, and allegedly Louis Armstrong had gifted this trumpet to him, which we later found out was absolutely not true. So there is some mischief afoot.
And take a look at this inscription. She turns it so he can see and points inside. It's angry Latin. Do you see what I'm seeing?
Well, angry Latin isn't necessarily an incorrect way to define it. Lorna, I don't think you've actually looked at the sarcophagus as specifically the one that contained the Djinn that the group had already dealt with, but the type of writing in here is an offshoot of that, specifically Mew, which is an ancient dialect from a small island in the Pacific. It is typically riddled with all kinds of occultists, and in this case, it appears to be some sort of summoning chant. My guess, based off of what rumors we've gotten, and the fact that you brought it back here, that this was the instrument that allowed the individuals to summon the dead.
Interesting.
As far as translating, it'll take a little bit of time. We have only one translator on our payroll that isn't out of this facility that we have to contact, so it usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks between when we send him the details and when we get an answer. But based off of what we have, I think we can surmise that this is associated with the Mu cult and possibly the Djinn themselves.
Best keep it here then. Keep it safe.
Yes, please take this off our hands. I don't even want to risk Archibald pretending to play it.
Oh yes, and to be honest, I appreciate that you brought it back. If this is associated with the cults, they probably would have been after you shortly after you acquiring said piece. And the facility here at PICA has several warding markers throughout the actual infrastructure of the building, preventing unwanted entities from entering without first destroying the building itself.
Gilus's face will go white for a second because the reality of like people coming after us because of our possession of the trumpet didn't even dawn on him. So feeling even more relieved that it's now in their possession.
Is there anything else that I could help you with?
Well, actually, there are other reasons why we came down to the headquarters here. We need to do some more research, and we're hoping to find some more information on these Djinns.
Oh, perfect. The section on Arabic mythology, or as you guys have quickly learned, Arabic legends and lore, will be down this sort of section of the library. I do wish you luck. It is hit or miss as far as how consolidated the information is. Some of it comes from the Quran itself, and some of it has come from stories from other individuals compiled into different sections.
Gilus takes a large, deep breath and just sighs.
Yes, unfortunately, since it's not out of our continent, the archivists aren't overly quick about acquiring said knowledge and archiving it for us here. Feeling that it's not irrelevant because it's unlikely for us to encounter it.
Well, first, I mean, it's a niche thing within a niche category, so it's fine. Well, shall we? As I look over to Lorna.
Lorna would clasp Gilus on the shoulder with a grin on her face, as she absolutely adores going through books, even though she's not great at it. It's a start, if nothing else. Let's get started. And she dives in and starts sifting through the books.
As she sort of takes the lead, as I sort of watch her walk in front of me, I just think to myself that Violet and Lorna are going to be good friends. I can already see the similarities, and we'll dive into the books, man.
Perfect. Go ahead and give me those library use rolls with a bonus die.
Ooh, okay. So that's you roll the first digit twice.
Yeah, it's effectively an advantage. So roll the tens placed twice. Take the lower of the two.
Ooh, okay. Okay. I think that's good.
Yeah.
That's a regular success.
Okay.
Hold on. Library use. Yeah, regular success.
Perfect.
With a 39.
I got a hard success with a 15. We
Okay,
did good
so
this time.
we'll go 1, 1, 1. So Lorna, we'll have you go first. Pick from Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday.
Let's give her Monday. Monday.
Okay. So you managed to find a article on the White King of Monday, Al Malik Al Abayed. He is associated with the moon. The White King is one of Iblis's closest consorts. He is depicted as a white demon with horns and golden eyes. His head is partly that of a human, but more like a beast, with fangs, hanging ears, and wrinkled layers of flesh on his cheeks.
Interesting.
And much like the phases of the moon, this one tends to change over time.
Interesting. Got some wolfy boy stuff, or are we supposed to extrapolate out more from that?
The shapeshifter, if nothing else.
Yes.
It's a start.
Yes, it's a start. And when you find that dude, Gilus, is like, oh my lord, there is answers. We have the ability to find something. And I immediately stop reading the book that I was because it's garbage and go for a different one on the shelf.
Perfect. All right, Gillis, go ahead and pick from the Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday.
I had my eyes on Wednesday because it's the Black King of Wednesday.
Yes.
And so I wonder, my brain associates black with the night and how that maybe can play tricks on you. So I'll try and find something with that.
Okay. So, like you said, it is the Black King of Wednesday. This is Al Malik Al Aswad. He is a powerful Djinn king said to rule over a multitude of other Djinns. He is associated with the planet Mercury. Carboni describes his helpers as quite extraordinary. He is black and horned with flames coming out of his mouth and eyes. A powerful sorcerer, he is also responsible for teaching magic to his followers.
Oh, so this is like the, make a deal with me and I'll give you powers type of genie. Or maybe not quite that, but still.
Oh no, that's not inaccurate, right? So you think Djinn is the original sort of offshoot of what we call genies today, right? Except the Djinn have the closer to the, they make a deal but never intended to, pay up sort of thing.
Right. It almost gives me warlock vibes, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Yeah, that's not inaccurate. So, Djinn is basically the Arabic word for demon.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay.
Ah.
Oh, so it basically is exactly that. Okay, well, look at this, and I'll kind of slide the book over and just let you read some passages and stuff. I mean, this is interesting, but I definitely don't think this is the Djinn we're dealing with.
Maybe not, but it's still good information to have, since it sounds like there's probably a sarcophagus for each of these. We may end up dealing with all 7.
Oh, let's not talk about that right now. Let's just keep going.
Fair enough, and she'll dig back into the books, but she'll mutter under breath, just saying, though, it could happen.
And every book I find after that is garbage. Everything else, I just can't find anything else.
Or you're rehacking some of the information you've already found.
Sure,
you guys only have 2 left. Speaking of which, Lorna...
Well, doesn't she get the 2, right?
She's got 1 more, so there's 2 left for her to pick from.
So it's possible we may not find it, but we'll see. We'll see.
So you have the Thursday or Saturday left.
Let's do Saturday. We'll leave Thursday the mystery.
So the King of Saturday, Maimun, means monkey in both Arabic and Persian. He is sometimes referred to as Mayam al-Shahabi, making him another demon associated with the wind and the clouds because he uses them to fly. He's associated with Saturn. This demon is also depicted carrying a child or man who appears to be asleep. This may signify that he is an abductor of the sleeping or unwary humans. He's winged, covered in hair, and has the face of a monkey with horns on his head. He's depicted as descended from the clouds, and his followers also seem to be inhabiting the clouds, making him perhaps a leader among the wind demons.
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
That is absolutely terrifying. Lorna kind of reads the depiction a couple times and like shakes her head and passes it over to Gillis. Look, I need somebody to process this with. Take a look at this.
I'll like get halfway through. A monkey with horns. Good God, the more we learn about this, the more I realize how fucked all this is.
Well, unfortunately, I feel like this is a bit par for the course.
Yes, and that's what I'm quickly realizing.
You'll be all right, though. You seem to be managing okay so far, and she pats his back a little bit.
I may be, but others aren't. Like Archibald, I'm very, very concerned.
Well, Archibald did, I believe, take some time to go speak to somebody about some of the issues that have been going on. So there's improvement there.
No, trust me.
no
I'm
one's
the one who
lost.
talked to him. And yes, there was some improvement. But not enough for me to feel like it's safe for him to continue to expose himself to things strange.
Hopefully, I can help prevent that then. That's my goal, after all.
Right. Well, Jinx? And I'll stand up to look for another book.
Thank you for the help, by the way. Thank you for coming with me. I suppose we should probably take a break for a little bit and head back.
Oh, I thought you'd never say. I just quickly put the book back onto the shelf that I was trying to grab. Yes, I think that's quite enough. We probably should leave tomorrow morning. I don't want to drive at night. You see, I have a problem with seeing well.
Oh, mention that now.
Yes.
After we drove all the way here.
Only at night, I say. Only at night it matters.
What was it?
Fair enough,
Session 3,
all right.
where
Yeah.
like he almost ran off the road while they were driving back.
Granted, I was also like
They had just
feeling
they
out
had
of
just-
the Djinn encounter.
they had
Oh,
literally
no.
just dispelled the Djinn, and they were all like fucking shaking as they're like driving back to PICA.
Like white knuckling the steering
Because they had
wheel.
dead bodies in the back of the car too.
Yeah, it was
No.
rough, dude. It was rough.
Oh man.
And that was our
Alright.
first introduction to it all, also, and so it was just like a rude awakening for Gillis.
Oh no.
He was a
Rude
devout
awakening.
non-believer before that.
Yeah, yeah. I played the whole non-believer angle, and then like tried to explain all the things that would happen that night was just insane.
Oh my god.
Anyways,
Anyways. Off to bed we go then.
Of
Well,
course.
with dinner. Food first, then
sure,
bed.
Sure, yes. I would love a nice mushroom beef soup.
Well, gotta go find what they have. Let's go, Grandpa. And she heads out.
Yeah, think of PICA as kind of like, I wouldn't say a hospital, but like the
They
same
got
sort of
like
like cafeteria, sort of.
Cafeteria food?
Yeah, because it's one of those, they have people like Lorna who are on like full-time staff that are kind of in the facility unless they're out hunting. And then obviously you have like the folks in the library, and then folks like Gillis who kind of like do the administrative portion of it. And there's a handful of psychologists that are also on payroll for any of the hunters that come back that need it. So yeah, you're able to find the cafeteria. We'll say tonight they happen to have a soup. It's not necessarily the soup that Gillis wants.
Of course.
In this particular case, it's a chicken and dumpling sort of thing.
Perfect. That will do just fine.
Kind of going for like a hearty, like clear the sinuses sort of thing. This particular chef is from some of the southern parts of Europe. Um,
Oh, okay.
so it's got a little bit more spice than you're necessarily used to, um, but it's good all the same. There's also an assortment of like different vegetables and like fruit to kind of basically it's got like the full variety for a full healthy meal, kind of giving everybody a balance of what they would need to go out and do what they need to do.
So as we try and get our food, um, I I'll just Lorna, what was the Djinn that was the shapeshifter? That was the White King, yes?
Yes, I believe so. Why do you ask?
I just, you know, I get this sort of feeling that it almost makes me think of some sort of were creature, which, yes, shapeshifting is the topic of conversation, but that just seems a little off the mark, and I guess it's like the only lead. I mean, unless if the mysterious Thursday Djinn has something to do with looking like their neighbor, then I feel like that's our best lead.
Honestly, I'm kind of with you. It's either that white gin or it has to be our mystery. None of the others seem to really fit the bill, from what I understand.
Yes, yes, I agree. Which brings me to my next point. Um, it seems like the group at large is mostly interested looking into this lucky Luciano fellow. Um, and it's fantastic because we already have someone like Carmela who can have a foot in the door. But something, I'm just a little worried because Carmela seems very sticking to her guns on what she believes and how the family runs, and I'm worried that she may let that get in the way of getting potentially information that's private.
Hmm. So you're saying she may not ask the questions, or
I
she'll
don't
ask
know.
them the wrong way?
I'm just I'm just not sure if she's going to be willing to help us as much as we might want because of her loyalty and where it lies. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could shape it out to be that we're trying to help the guy.
Well, in theory, regardless of what happens, knowing how these gins work is helping in the long run. We have to remove them somehow, and if they're continuing to run rampant, well, it's possible that they could get themselves hurt. If nothing else, to start with at least, we're providing information, right? In theory?
Exactly. Is it known to us that Archibald did some looking into Luciano?
Yes, I would. Sorry, that's part of the reason why I covered it in the recap. One,
I
Lorna
just
was
wasn't
there
sure.
during that developmental phase portion, so she should have been backfilled. I kind of operate of like at some point you guys all meet up to like share information throughout developmental
Right.
phases. So yes, you would be aware that he's done some research on Lucky Luciano, um, and then like the little bits that I mentioned, kind of with Carmilla, you could have either gotten from Bentley or Carmilla herself. I imagine it probably would have come from Bentley because it was more of an intimate conversation between her and Bentley while you guys were traveling to New York,
Right.
where she mentioned something about a skin changer, and that's all she mentioned. She didn't really go into details of the event itself.
Gotcha. Well, how do we get a hold of a crime boss? As I just like unbelievably put my face into my palm.
Well, I do believe you ask your resident crime lord. We need to go find Carmilla. Or is she?
She may or may not
She may be
be.
out.
I'm here. I'm about to leave for work, but I can still talk while I'm driving and stuff.
Ensuring the job always
Well,
gets
if,
done, and the ones wearing many hats.
if we can get it in, then
Yeah,
She's at her garage.
Real-time product availability.
sweet. I guess I don't know that we would do it tonight per se, but that would be what Lorna would respond with. Is we need to go see
Yeah.
Carmilla.
Maybe like in a day or two when we get back to New York.
Then that's where we're headed next. Maybe it'll go well. Maybe it'll be okay. We'll see.
Ends up with Carmilla and you guys having a shootout against each other. I'm kidding.
It'll be fine, Grandpa.
Yeah, so we'd say that you guys kind of wrap up your meal there, kind of spend the night there. Lorna, you have a room at PICA, so it's easy for you. Gillis, we had already established that they have like sort of visiting rooms where like if you're on call or that type of thing, so you're able to kind of rest there without any worries. You'll hit the road the next morning and get back up to New York. I would say it's probably like late afternoon where you can actually meet up with Carmilla herself.
Yeah, so I'll pull my Model T up to her garage. Well, this is it. It is a little rough around the pods, but it is nice. If you don't mind the grease. And I'll sort of step out and poke my head into the garage. Mrs. Rockfellow.
It's Carmilla, and she just yells out as she comes walking out. She's just wearing a tank top, tight jeans, worker boots, and she's got some grease on her hands and face. And she puts her hand on your shoulder. She goes, "Good to see you, Gus."
Oh boy, okay. I'll promise never to call you Miss Rockfellow if you promise to never call me Gus, please.
She looks at you. She goes, "You got a deal." She gives you a slight slap on the cheek. That's very friendly, but covered in grease.
Oh, goodness. I guess I used my hanky to clean it off, and I'll just sort of like not put it back in my pocket and just like hold it in my hand.
Lorna tries to kind of open up one of her trench coat pockets near Gillis to kind of signal if you need a place to put it, just drop it in the pocket, but like attempting to be discreet about it.
Yes, and I'll just give you a little bow of the head and do exactly that.
She looks over to what's your character's name again?
Lorna.
Lauren. She goes, and she smiles. She goes, "Hey, welcome. What can I do you guys for?"
Well, Gillis and I spent some time in the libraries at PICA, and we made some discoveries about some more of the Djinn. We've only got one left that we don't have knowledge on now, and
Okay.
we're hoping we could speak with your crime boss, Lucky.
Hey! She kind of stops you. She's like, "Get in the fucking garage. What's the matter with you?" As she opens the door, kind of like looking around before she like brings you guys and closes the door. And she'll basically bring like it's a pretty open space of cement with like wood furnishings. But like there's a bed near the kitchen, a small table, and then there's a ramp with a motorcycle on top of it that's like 10 feet up in the air, so that way someone can work underneath it. And then there's a wall full of guns and just barrels of unknown things.
Oh my god. And Lorna gawks at what's around her, and then after taking a moment to take it in, she just kind of nods and, "Sorry, I didn't realize she was completely clueless as she was being dragged inside. No idea that she had done anything wrong."
Oh, sorry, Laura. I guess I should have said something. I just try not to think about it.
Yeah.
Well, I forget that. Anyways, regardless, we needed to speak with Lucky Luciano. Can you get us in touch? I think we worry that the sarcophagus that he has may be contributing to our little Djinn problem.
And maybe if not Lucky himself, maybe like his associate, you know?
She kind of eyes both of you a little bit as she kind of walks into a back room and is like gone for like a few minutes without saying anything. She comes back with a bottle and 3 glasses as she pours you guys each half a cup. What exactly you want with Lucky in this sarcophagus?
We are worried for his safety. I think potentially he may or may not have released a djinn, or if he hasn't, may do it unintentionally.
If
She kind of looks at you, is like, you ain't worried. You ain't worried about a criminal. Come on, Gillis, come on. You ain't gonna fucking lie to me. You're more of after the djinn, which is fine. But what exactly is hell? You looking to speak to him? Because that's not just gonna happen. See, I know you, but I don't trust you like a family would trust family, and you're asking to meet Lucky?
Yes, I realize this may be a tall order, and that's... I did have some reserves. I did ask this question knowing that it would be a big ask. The problem is, it's one of our only leads, and it's either Lucky Luciano or it's Bonato, and he's going behind bars. He's not going to want to talk to us, especially if we're the ones who led to it happening. And you happen to work for the guy, and we just thought maybe we would have a better chance figuring out how to stop all this with your help.
And if I might add, you say this is a family matter and a family concern. Lorna kind of leans in and looks down a little bit. The Catholic Church has been my family my entire life. My parents fled with crosses on their hearts. It's what they carried with them to this country. Protecting family is something that is near and dear to my heart. And wouldn't it pain you to know that your family could have been hurt by this djinn and we had the knowledge to stop it? I mean,
One,
to me,
I'm a Catholic. You don't need to sell me. 2, what the fuck are you talking about behind bars?
Bonato,
Archie, sorry, I probably didn't touch on this earlier super in depth because it wasn't like super important till now. Archie, the boss, Bonato, and his gang were overheard killing Joey Larson in the garage by a government man, Roger Daniels, because he was helping the investigators. So his gang was all arrested following his testimony. The only one that actually spent any time in jail was little Jimmy. He ended up getting arraigned a couple weeks later, but at the moment, Archie doesn't know the investigators were involved, but it could be a significant implication if he ever found out.
Carmila's just eyeing the 2. So you're either here to help Lucky, or you're here to stop the djinn and put him in jail. Is that what I'm assuming?
No, Carmela, no. We are only trying to help. We don't want him to somehow be exposed to the djinn and lose his mind. I don't know. We're not trying to send him to jail. We'd want to deal with the djinn. You know, PICA stuff.
I understand. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I understand that the life that you live has made you potentially untrusting, which is fair, is completely understandable, but please understand that this comes from a place of wanting to help and wanting to deal with the situations at hand and the problems that have been caused. Give us a chance before you write us off completely, if that's fair to you.
I'm gonna tap in the side of her pants leg as she's looking at both of you. You're lucky she a dime, Gillis. Lucky. I'll talk to him. But if it isn't any fucking way you hear me lead to some of my people getting arrested or backstab me and she pulls out her magnum, I'll put a fucking bullet in your fucking head, Gillis. You wanna fucking stand me?
I'll just like nervously like shake my head. Yes, of course, Carmila, of course, yes.
And I'll find your fucking family. Let me make that shit fucking clear. I'll talk to Lucky, and I'm gonna put my name on the line. But if something goes down, if I get a whiff of anything, you're gonna wish you saw the Djinn before you fucking saw me. She puts her gun in her holster.
I'm certain there will be no need for that, as Lorna sits stone-faced.
Okay, let's see, usually a lot of motherfuckers say that. Then it happens.
You'll see. She kind of puts a comforting hand on Gillis's shoulder.
Yes, Carmela, you can trust us, and I promise that we will not tarnish your name. It is my ultimate goal.
She kind of sighs, looking at you two. Shakes her head as she's like, just wait fucking here. And she heads to her back room where she kind of closes the door, kind of like sticky as you would. And she had dial-up phones back then, right?
Do they have phones? Yes.
Yeah. And she's going to dial up to contact Lucky and use like a version of Steve's Can't to kind of tell him a situation without too much context.
If you're worried about like people being able to like intercept a call or something like that, at this point in time with the phone technology, like tapping a line is super kind of outside the ballpark. At least
I just didn't know if this was the time period where the FBI was like in those like rooms where they plug lines in. So if not, and they're not worried about that, then she'll speak freely.
Yeah, you should be able to speak freely. I could definitely be wrong as far as like timeline, but I'm gonna say I'm right for the moment.
Hey, that's fine.
Hey,
It'll be fine.
it's fictional history.
But yeah, she'll call Lucky.
Yeah. What's up, Carmila?
Hey, Luck. You know that side shit I do
The stuff with the
outside of family?
Yeah, the paranormal bullshit.
Yeah, that freaky shit. I got two colleagues that need to talk to you about the sarcophagus that you have.
Are they looking to help with what happened at the church?
That's what they say, Doc. That's what they say. But I let them fucking know. I'll put my name on them for this. And if anything fucking looks a little too fucking shady, I'll keep you.
You cut up a little bit there, Carmilla, but if you're saying these guys can help us, I'm not necessarily, trying to let a bunch of outsiders in to the inner workings of the gang, but I mean, we had to shut that operation down out of the church because of what happened, and if they can figure out what ended up costing us like a huge chunk of our crew and end it, I'm interested.
Okay. You want to meet in my garage the next 2 days?
No. Send them over to my place.
Oh shit.
We'll do this at the Elk Lodge out of Queens.
Oh shit.
We're in.
That's a good idea, Lucky. That's a real good fucking idea. I'll make sure that ain't Karen either.
Carmela, you know me. They can carry all they want. If they start some shit, they ain't leaving.
Yeah, only thing that's fucking leaving is the fucking organs coming out of holes in their fucking body, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right, Lux. I'll bring that and I'll bring a bottle.
Sounds good, Carmilla. Are you sure you're
Right,
ready
Lux,
for
go ahead.
this? I know you weren't there when it all went down, but what we saw when we went in, you don't unsee that.
I've seen some stuff, Lux. And I tell you what, my fist can't fucking do it. Fucking iron will do it. It just takes a little more extra than a fucking human.
Well, hopefully that's what ends up happening.
All right, Lux. I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.
She'll hang up, and she comes walking out. All right. Now, in about 2 days, you're going to meet me here in the garage. I'm going to take you out where my boss is comfortable meeting you about this whole situation.
It sounds perfectly reasonable. And Lorna stands up, all happy with a smile, and looks at Carmilla, and like eye to eye, trying to be as genuine as possible. Like, I don't know how that works, but be like trying to give off honesty and be as kind as possible as she senses the tension, and says, "Thank you. It really is appreciated. I understand that this is a lot for you."
Yeah, you're fucking welcome. Now, if there's anything else I can fucking do for you, why don't you guys get the fuck out of my garage?
Can do. Thank you very much. She turns on her heel, still trying to seem happy, and as she would leave, I think Gillis stepped away.
Oh, did he shit?
Oh,
She's gonna watch.
he's back.
She's gonna watch him leave.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Me and Lorraine basically said she's happy that she said it. She basically said, appreciate you and all this, and basically tomorrow
You're kind of
fucking
breaking
walk
up a little
fuck
bit.
out of my garage.
She basically just told you guys to get the fuck out of her garage.
Oh, okay.
After Lorna approached, all sweet and happy and nice.
What we'll do is we'll take a quick, 5-10 minute break. As you guys make your way out, is there anything you want to do in that 2-day period before meeting back up with Carmilla to have this conversation with Lucky?
The suit that I got from, what was the town out in there towards what's it called?
Arnoldsburg.
Arnoldsburg, because I bought like an orangish tan suit.
Yeah, you
from
got a
there, I
tan
believe.
suit that you threw in the dry cleaners because it was covered in blood and brain and.
Oh yeah.
Yes, that's the suit I will be wearing, and I will have before then stopped at my my usual barber to clean up my chin and to restyle the mustache, maybe re-up on some wax, and yeah, I just I want to look nice, but I'm not gonna wear my nicest suit.
Okay.
Lorna is.
Sorry,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, I was going to ask you what you were going to do, and you started talking right then. So
It worked out. Great minds think alike. Lorna would. She's definitely a creature of habit and is still in her brown duster, dark pants. She's got a white blouse on. She made sure it was clean, no dirt or dust on it. Maybe a little smudge here or there, but she kind of rubs the fabric together to get that off. And then her little black corset that kind of helps keep her upright and provides some padding.
yeah, perfect. As you guys meet up with Carmilla, she's still got the sort of confrontational attitude going on, but otherwise, it's kind of the same interaction you're used to with her. She'll kind of get you guys over. You guys will take, if I'm not mistaken, the little ferry from Manhattan over to where Queens is. I'm not super.
Am I able to ferry my car, or we'll be doing this on foot?
Yeah, I think I'm going
I
to
don't
say
know,
yes, the
when
ferry
did-
could take your
okay.
car.
All
That,
right,
or if
okay,
you want to
cool.
take your car, you guys drive across the bridge and go over to where Queens is, specifically the Elk Lodge. This is one of the more prominent buildings in Queens at the time period. Uh, as you walk in, you'll see a couple larger gentlemen kind of standing guard outside the office where Lucky Luciano set up. He's been expecting you, so as you guys approach, they open up the door, letting you in. As you walk into the office itself, um, Lorna, you would feel kind of at home as far as like what memorabilia you're seeing. Um, Lucky Luciano is a devout Catholic, so he has some of those sort of items in the office itself. You can clearly see that he has a cross on his neck. He's also wearing a rosary. Um, he's got his shirt kind of rolled up. Um, he's wearing a button-down white shirt with suspenders. You can see that he has a jacket on the back of his chair there, and that it's a nice oak desk that he's sitting in front of.
I do have one clarifying question just for flavor.
Yeah.
As far as this like lodge goes, is it like ski lodge type of vibes? Like lots of like exposed logs, like cabin like stuff, or like what are we talking about?
No, it's. Let me pull it up because I kind of just did research today on old ass buildings in New York.
Sure.
Sweet.
Sorry, I guess that was a little bit of a.
Oh no, you're fine. It looks like a normal building. To be honest, I'm not.
Okay.
I think it was kind of the name of like a city hall.
Gotcha. Okay. Like an old like city hall building type deal.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So
Sweet.
it feels more like an office sort of building than a
Gotcha.
lodge per se.
Okay.
You, with this knowledge of what the building looks like and being from New York, Gillis, you would get the vibe that this is kind of like where the political stuff happens in Queens, and Lucky Luciano operates out of it as far as like him specifically.
Interesting. Okay.
Sweet. Lorna would step forward, not quite approaching the desk, trying to give the air of respect that is deserved in this setting. Thank you for taking the time to meet us, sir. We appreciate that this is probably taking a lot of time out of your day.
Well, I appreciate the gesture there, but I've been waiting to have this conversation since Carmila gave me the phone call the other day. I see, based off the cross there, you Catholic as well?
Yes, sir, I am. Born and raised. My parents came from Italy.
Oh, your family's Italian too?
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
shit.
Well, I'll be. I like you already.
Glad to hear it.
Right as he says that, Gillis immediately feels a good amount of relief because we've already like established a good standing. At which point he'll sort of hover around his chair before kind of waiting to be told to sit, and I'll just like smile and like, yes, we do want to tell you how much we appreciate you giving us your time, and we are more than welcome to help.
Oh, forgive me. Gillis, is it?
Yes, Thornhill.
Yes. Well, forgive me for the lack of courtesy. Go ahead and please take a seat. Carmila says that you're wanting to potentially have a discussion over the sarcophagus that Archie gave out to the families.
Precisely, and I'll kind of look over at Lorna, and Lorna, I don't know how well you are at reading body language, but I'll sort of signal over to you because you're kind of the one who established the good standing.
Lorna's a little clueless, but she kind of tilts her head for a second, looks at you, squints, and okay.
Kind of nudge with my head.
She turns back to Lucky. Yes, Gillis and I has been spending time in the different libraries that we have access to. We've researched 6 of 7 potential Djinns. After joining this crew, I'd heard they had banished one, but it sounds like there's another on the loose. And where you have a sarcophagus, and we had heard of that, we would like to take a look at the one you have and see if it lines up with some of the things we've been seeing for one of the other Djinns.
Well, I don't know nothing about no Djinn, but the sarcophagus I do know a little bit about, or at least where it's at. What I need to know, since it seems to be in your wheelhouse as far as this type of stuff is concerned, are you going to keep this within this room as far as how the information spreads? Go ahead and give me a persuade roll, both of you. Lorna, roll at an advantage based off the relationship you've already, or the rapport you've already built with.
Rapport,
Lucky.
that's the word I've been trying to think of this whole time. Oh boy, okay, I don't think persuasion is great for me.
Oh gosh, mine's not either.
Okay, not bad. Let's see what I have. Persuasion. Ooh, that's a fail. I don't have anything in persuade, and I rolled a 55.
Oh, what's a base? It's what, probably a 25 base then?
For me, it's 10.
Oh, 10.
Say it's a 10 base, yeah.
Would you-
Because I got the advantage saved me there. I got an 8.
Oh
my God!
Shit!
The advantage saved you for sure!
Because it would have been an 88 otherwise, and I was crying.
Wow!
Oh, no. Okay, go ahead and give me your response, and then we'll get into the things.
Listen, Mr. Luciano, I understand your hesitation. Carmila gave us the same speech, the same walkthrough. I understand that your business is important to you. Our goal has nothing to do with harming your business. Our goal here is to make sure this Djinn doesn't hurt any more people. I personally watched the dead walk. And she stares into his eyes as she says this. I don't want to see something like that happen again. I certainly wouldn't want to see that happen at any of my family's graves. Could you imagine your family's graves being raised by some hooligan with a trumpet? I mean, come on. We can't let this happen. It could hurt your business even. Please. Let us help you.
As you're talking, he
Wow.
has eye contact with you the entire time. When you bring up the dead, you would normally expect someone to react, and he does not.
Oh.
So you get the impression that he has seen something as well that doesn't shock him when you bring up raising of the dead.
Ooh.
All right. What I'm about to tell you cannot leave this room.
I fixed my tie.
I've been kind enough to broker this meeting due to how much I like Carmila. But if you spread any of this information about what happened to my gang, I will have no qualms with sending you some of my boys and making sure that you never speak again.
I adjust my collar out of anxiety, sort of coursing through the brain.
Lorna's still eye contact, stone-faced. Understood, sir.
It was during one of our get-togethers between the heads of the boroughs. We usually meet every few months to play cards and talk about what is going on with each other, each of the districts, and make sure the peace is upheld. Essentially, archery will settle any beef between the different gangs and make sure that we all understand that our organizations only operate if we take care of each other. On this occasion, he had just purchased some ancient sarcophagi that he said were valuable on the black market, and he wanted to use them and kind of give them to each of us as a token of our solidarity together and, kind of run in New York.
I pull out my notepad and start taking notes.
I was just going to throw it up on the shelf behind me here and display it, but one of the boys was super into Arabic and wanted to see if he could translate it first before we just let it sit.
Oh no.
The fool translated it, but wasn't smart enough to do the translating when the thing wasn't sitting right next to him. According to the survivors, he was the first to go.
Survivors? What happened?
People
Well,
made it out?
Not many. He was doing the translating out of the basement of one of the local churches, thinking that even if something went wrong, the Lord would protect him from the evil or something. I'm Catholic, but even I know that's not how it works.
Nope.
Anyways, he does his chant, and next thing you know, a creature forms next to the sarcophagus. Him and all the boys in the basement are stunned in fear as this white demon with horns and golden eyes look at them and starts laughing.
Yes!
They said his face looked like it was some beast with massive fangs. Those boys have been at the sanatorium since. Before Vince could come to his senses, the creature sliced his throat open with a swipe of his clawed hands. The rest of the boys then opened fire into it, with it just laughing and licking the blood off its claws. They always seem to break down in telling the story at this point, but what I can get out of them is that this thing then shed its skin, changing into Vince. After this, they said they ran away. When the rest of the gang... Oh, sorry. Yes, when the rest of the gang showed up to see what the hell happened, what we saw was a complete bloodbath. 20 of my boys were in that church with the priest and his attendants. Only the 2 that ran away are still alive, and they have been in the sanatorium since. The church has been boarded up since, and we have had no idea what happened to the creature. If you truly want to get rid of it, here's the address of the church so that you can see what Vince was working with.
Fuck.
Good luck. He will then grab his rosary and make a quick prayer.
Mr. Luciano, if you wouldn't mind, when did this happen? When was the church compromised?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to do some timeline because of the developmental phase.
Oh, right, because you didn't add.
This would have been approximately like a week or 2 before the stuff with Leroy Turner.
That's why I asked!
Ooh.
So this is the Djinn. He is a...
Well, I wonder what night it happened specifically, because didn't the white Djinn have the whole moon thing, or like the lycanthropy? Am I mixing Djinns now?
Well,
No,
here's the thing.
That you're right. That's the description we got from the
Meta-wise, you have a translation, or like the research you guys did is someone's interpretation of a,
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good
and
point.
Yeah,
it's mythology too. So like how it's interpreted varies, right? Like when you compare stories of a vampire, there's like 15 different versions of a vampire, and they're
Yeah.
not
Right.
the same. So
Right.
True.
there's some
Okay.
similarities, right, that overlap, but what you have could be a misinterpretation of what's actually happening, right? So they're saying it's associated with the moon, and you went, oh, lycanthropy, but it could also just be straight up the ability to change skins.
The shapeshift. Yeah. I got a little too literal there.
Well, that's the trouble with mythology too, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
As I'm writing down the timeline that he gives, with him mentioning the description of this Djinn, combined with the timeline of how it lines up with Leroy, I'll just kind of dart a look out of the corner of my eye over to Lorna. Where's this church?
um, it's here in Queens. It's the address that I gave you, as far as like
Right.
how you can
Oh, sorry.
find the location.
Sorry, I'm more of a landmark guy. I'll just like hand over the address to Lorna.
Lorna already is ready to take it and stick it in one of her duster pockets.
I mean, if you're looking for landmarks, the church itself is kind of receded from the street and the parking lot there, so it kind of almost feels like it's in a park, but it's more just off the street. You'll know it. It's a Gothic style church.
I've seen many like it. I think I know what we're looking for.
And just before we go, and Mr. Lucky, sir, would it be too much of an ask if you sent maybe one or two of your guys with us just for some security?
Gillis, why I would like to send my boys with you. Anybody that has seen the inside of that church or has heard what happened there, let's just say what was once consecrated ain't consecrated no more.
No. I apologize for the request in the first place. Consider this under our wing, shall we? As I sort of like hook my arm up to Lorna.
As you guys are approaching the door, and listen here, if you do manage to handle this, consider that Lucky Luciano owes you one. If you need anything else in the future.
We appreciate the gesture, Mr.
Yes.
Luciano.
Your generosity is immeasurable.
And with that, we are out before anything bad happens.
yeah. Swift exit.
And I mean, you guys have built up enough rapport, and if anything, it's a kind of a somber end as you guys are finishing up that conversation, because that was 20 of his men that died inside that church as he was retelling that story. So like a huge portion of his gang suffered at the hands of whatever this is.
As we're sort of like walking out back to the car though, like under my breath as we're sort of walking, I'm like, yo, stone-faced gal, I cannot believe we could have used you 2 months ago. Well, I guess 6 months ago now that I think about it out loud. That was incredible. I'm a psychologist and I was too nervous to even conjure the words from my lips. That was incredible.
Well, thank you. She kind of takes a moment to pause as they're leaving the building as well, and does the cross and the little prayer under her breath. And as she turns to leave with Gillis, I watched my parents do it. My mother was a very strong woman and faced a lot of hardship, not only in traveling from another continent, another country, but just the trials they faced. They dealt with monsters back in Italy, they dealt with them here. I try to emulate that, that's all.
Well, clearly the apple does not fall far from the tree.
It's appreciated, Gillis. Now, let's get out of here.
Of course, and I'll start up the Model T and head to the church that has been defiled.
Perfect. Is there any special items that you guys have brought with you that I should be aware of as we enter into or outside of this church? Such as like flashlights, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I like to think that maybe I have like an emergency kit or something in my car that has like a flashlight. It's also where I keep my magnifying glass and like other sort of like maybe like some powder things like I would use to like look around the space,
Okay.
you know. But not like I don't own any guns or weapons or anything like that, so I'm not much of the yeah.
Perfect. I mean, the flashlight itself is pretty pertinent, so.
Yeah, a flashlight for sure. Lorna's got her Bible in her pocket as well as her cross and a additional larger crucifix that she carries with her just on standby after dealing with all the things. And then her crossbow, she would have pulled it from the trunk, trying to keep it out of view by having it there instead of just in the back seat.
Perfect. As you guys roll up onto the church and step out of the car and kind of make your way up, like I said, it's a little bit receded from the parking lot itself. Go ahead and give me a spot hidden roll.
Okay. Oof. That's going to be a fail for me. Well, 87 for me.
I didn't do much better. I got a 96.
Ooh, okay.
Damn, dude, you've rolled like 3 times in the 90s tonight.
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion Lorna's just my unlucky character.
Sure.
Like I said, the church itself sits back from the parking lots, allowing you to kind of feel separated from the bustling of the cityscape. You can see that there are several crows around the outside of the white Gothic-style church. You can also clearly see that the windows have been boarded up as well as the front door. While you might have expected investigation tape up based off of kind of what you've heard happened here, there isn't any. Based off of the conversation with Lucky and everything, you get the impression that he probably had the place boarded up and closed down with little to no police involvement.
I see.
And for a frame of reference for this church, I'll look something like that.
Oh, god damn. Are you fucking kidding me, DM? This is the church we roll up on?
Yeah, more or less.
Wow. Oh, fuck. Dude, Gillis gulps a little bit.
Luna kind of gawks at the beauty of the church, but also like, dear God, this thing is huge. There are so many places it could be hiding.
Lorna, based off of your time with the clergy and everything, you would actually be familiar that the size of the church doesn't necessarily mean how many rooms. It's got the high ceilings with like the Renaissance paintings, typically, especially in like Catholic churches. So like having a large size, it still might only have 2 or 3 rooms, so there's not as much space, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it couldn't necessarily blend in with the rafters up in the top if it has those type of abilities, but it's more of an open room per se inside the church.
Okay, well, a little less spooked then, but still like, spooky.
Yeah, I'll park the car like nearly in front of the church, just in case if we need to have a speedy getaway.
Perfect.
Well, let's do this. And I'll like pull out my I have like a special like holster for my magnifying glass on my belt loop, you know?
Yes.
Let's do this. I'm ready.
All right. Just a moment, and Lorna hops out and goes and gets her crossbow and holds it up, kind of similarly, trying to do a similar gesture that you did with the holster. Let's do this. I will take the lead just because I have the pointy thing.
Oh, please. I thought you never asked.
Into the church they go.
Okay. As you guys approach the front door there, you will confirm that the door has been bolted up. But as you guys start kind of like removing some of the panels and stuff on there, you'll see that the door is unlocked. As you enter into the foyer, you'll be greeted with a powerful stench of death. Please give me a con save.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Oh no, my con is so bad.
Yeah, mine's not great either. I'm an old man.
Oh man.
Oh, that's already I rolled a fucking 92.
Oh, nice.
Lorna's rubbing off on me.
So say I'm putting my dice in dice jail. That was another 90.
Dude!
This is not gonna go well.
The smell in here is so pungent that both of you retch immediately as you walk in.
I just lose everything, dude.
I posted sort of the layout of a typical Catholic church in there. So you guys are kind of coming in through I think it's the west entrance. Yeah, the west portal. So you're kind of entering into the nave. As you guys start moving forward into the church, specifically into the nave, you can see the main seating area, so like all the pews and everything. As you kind of look around, you'll see Italian-style Renaissance paintings on the walls and ceiling. Please give me another spot hidden roll.
Oh boy, okay.
Please.
Come on, give me something good to eat. Oh, 0? Oh, fuck me.
There.
Alright, hold on.
I got a 24.
Take that as a success.
Yes. I'm just trying to figure out if it's anything else.
Spot hidden.
Nah, we're good. Just a regular.
Okay, yeah, that's going to be an extreme success for me.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
For you, Lorna, you'll notice you don't see any bodies, but there are smears of blood on some of the pews and streaked on the walls and paintings. Gilus, despite how long ago this was, there's like this weird sort of thing going on. Like whether or not it's because they boarded it up, but you would have thought a lot of the blood would have been dried.
Flashbacks? Oh, sorry.
No, you would have thought a lot of the blood would have been dried at this point, but there are still spots that look like sticky, sort of like wet. So you don't know if the boarding up is kind of like sealed in to keep it fresh.
Gotcha.
Ugh.
How far into the nave here do we get when I notice this?
I would say it's kind of as you're walking through the nave, like this is stuff you're picking up on as you're walking through. Outside of that, you're not noticing anything. It seems to be an empty room at the moment.
I'll just like under my breath, Lorna.
Yes.
Whatever creature this is, Djinn or not, it's still here. As I look up towards some of the spots I see with more fresh blood rather than anything dried.
As you look at some of those spots, Lorna kind of lines up your gaze, or tries to at the very least, and finds some of the spots to the best of her ability. And probably shouldn't stay here too long, just the two of us then. But So far, so good, right?
Right.
Can Lorna listen while they're talking to see if anything sounds off? Like if there's weird creaks or motion, maybe?
Yeah, at least at the moment, as you guys are kind of like making your way through the nave there, you kind of start to get an eerie feeling that you are being watched, but you can't see anything outside of the bloodstains. So as far as you can tell at the moment, it's an empty church. Um, Once you get closer to like the actual sanctuary, up towards the front of the church there, you'll notice that the carpet is saturated with blood, attracting several flies.
Oh my god.
Lucky has told you that there's a hidden trapdoor over in the sanctuary that goes down to the basement where the gang operated out of, but he didn't necessarily specify where it was. So please give me a spot hidden roll.
Oh no.
So we're coming up on the sanctuary, and it has like blood-soaked carpet.
Yeah.
If I roll all zeros, that's a 100, right?
Yeah, that's a crit fail. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Great. Love my
Spot
dice
hidden
today.
for me is a 23, which is
a success,
regular
right?
success.
Perfect. What we're gonna say, Lorna, is you have become intently focused because you got that feeling that you're being watched. So now you're on high alert. Gillis, for you, because you took such detailed notes of the conversation with Lucky, you're able to kind of like notice that the blood is pulled up in the carpet and there's a streak running towards one of the confessionals. And as you open up the door to the confessional, you'll see that there's a board that's slightly pulled up. And as you kind of like look there, you see that there's a corner of the trapdoor. So you realize, the trapdoor is in the bottom of this confessional to go down. And basically the blood, because of like it slopes to where this door is, that's why the blood was kind of going in that direction.
Do I clock Lorna?
Do you what?
Do I clock? Do I notice that she is a little like, hey?
I would say you're to be honest, you're kind of on edge already.
Yeah.
And you take it as like, well, she's the one with the crossbow, so it's kind of good that she's on alert. Both of you, please give me a listen roll. Lorna, you can roll yours with a bonus die.
Sweet.
Wow. Okay, that was good. Listen. That's a hard success.
Oh, nice.
I got a 51, so that's a fail here.
Oh, well, Gillis, as you're turning back to kind of like point out the trapdoor to Lorna, you kind of hear footsteps very lightly, as if they're barefoot. And as you kind of like reassess your vision, you will notice two cultists that have like tribal markings on their bodies similar to those that you've seen on like the sarcophagus. They're not speaking, but they are moving up on you guys. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh my god! Oh shit, dude!
Damn.
Oh fuck!
Oh no!
Oh,
Y'all about to get jumped.